Hello, everybody. Welcome to Amber Black Chats. Today we have something special. We are live streaming on a new series called Mama Chats. So we'll keep adding to the series. But to kick off our Mama Chats series, I have two of my favorite mamas here with me. I have Brittany Ross and Shanna Buckner. And we are going to kick off this series with a back to school episode. Since that is right around the corner, summer has gone really, really fast. And it is, it's not technically over, but it might as well be over. It's August. Yes. It's technically school time. So what we have here, I have some beautiful women who love me and love questions and are willing to do crazy things for me. And so I'm super grateful. But truly, I know that I have kiddos, and my youngest one is getting ready to start his senior year of high school. So I'm in a different kind of season. But I know that I have so many mamas who watch Amber Black Chats, and I know that this is like a very stressful time of year. You're getting ready, you're spending a lot of money, you're learning who your kid's teacher is going to be, you're figuring out lunches and bus schedules and all these crazy things. So I wanted to bring some experts on here, and I have some questions. But if you have any questions, our wonderful producer and sound technician, Brian Black, in the house behind the screen back there. If you have any questions, he's going to wag us down and let us know. But until then, I have some questions that these girls are going to answer for us. And I wanted to start with just letting you talk a little bit about yourself. So a little intro. So let us know your name, how long you've been in education, all the roles that you've had in the world of education, and then what is your current role right now. So Brittany, we'll start with you, love.
Okay. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Brittany Ross, and I've been in education. This is going on my 14th year. I have been in lots of different realms. I've been a student all the way through college. I got my master's degree. I've been a teacher for primarily kindergarten through second grades. I spent most of my career in first grade before stepping out of the classroom. But my true love is second grade. I love being in second grade. And I recently, a couple of years ago after COVID, I stepped out of the classroom, and I'm now what's called the curriculum coordinator.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. But really, that's just a fancy title for I wear a bunch of different hats. And so you can catch me at my little school doing anything from teacher CEUs to discipline stuff to helping with the board to going to classrooms to help team teach. I fixing the toilets, whatever, I kind of do it all. And I just really love being in education, and I'm excited to be with you all today. Thanks for having me.
Yay. All right, sweet lady on the end.
My name is Shanna Buckner, and this will be my 24th year in education. All of those years have been in kindergarten, except for one. I did stay home with my children when they were smaller, and to get kind of back in the classroom and the school that my son was going to be going to kindergarten in, I had to take a second grade position, and I did like second grade. But then I was like, can I please go back to kindergarten? So during that time I was staying home with my kids, I did some adjunct teaching and supervising some student teachers, kind of keeping my foot in the door a little bit. So right now I'm a lead kindergarten teacher at my little school. So
yeah. I love that. And you're both mamas.
Yes.
So you are coming to the school year with the wisdom of being in the system, teaching, and then also being in mama mode to get your kiddos through. So tell us a little bit about your family life. Tell us a little bit about the children that you have always in your care.
You go first.
Yeah, Shanna.
Okay. So my daughter is 20, soon to be 21, and she is getting ready to head to college. She'll be going to Wilmington. And then my son is 22, soon to be 23, and their birthday is really, really, really soon. And he is headed to the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. So my husband and I are going to be empty nesters, just like boom, all in the next couple of weeks. Foul swoop, and the next couple of weeks. So we're looking forward to that. But yeah, it's kind of where we're at in life.
I'm at a much different phase. I am married to my husband, Tyler, and we have 2 little boys, boy mom for sure. And one is 10 and he's going into 5th grade, and one is 7 and he's going into 2nd grade, and they keep me on my toes.
Yes, I love all your kids very, very much. All your kids have been very, very good to my kids in different ways and different seasons. So it's super fun. A disclaimer for anyone doing life at all is have good people in your life to help you, because it is hard being a parent. It's hard juggling your work life and your home life. And maybe that's something that we can talk about another day, is like having that balance and being working ladies and full-time mamas and doing all the things. But I'm going to tell you right now, for my spiritual health, my emotional health, these 2 are like anchors. And I call one of them when I need somebody to tell me what I want to hear, and I call the other one when I need straight truth. So they can figure out which one. I was like, but collectively, they take such good care of me and have loved my kids so well. I've had the honor of being on staff with both of these ladies in a school, which is really fun and crazy and so cool. Shanna was actually my Cecily's kindergarten teacher, and she imparted some stuff to me way back when Cecily was in kindergarten, and Cecily's about to turn 20, that I now use every time I meet with a parent. I will say some of the things that Shanna taught me. And one of them is, you are parent, guardian, whoever you are, taking care of these little humans. You are the best and sometimes only advocate for your kid. So no matter what your kiddo's facing, whether it's at school or in sports or whatever, that's the role. That's the job. If God has allowed you to be a parent, your job is to take care of that kiddo and advocate for them. So these women are very, from my perspective of working with them and seeing them in the classroom and seeing them deal with parents and with kids and all kinds of things, they're very fair. They're very loving. They're not going to give you a biased answer to these things. They're going to tell you what's best for you and your family and for your kids is always going to outrank anything else. And I'm just really thankful for the wisdom that Shanna passed on to me for Cecily. And then both of my kiddos got to attend the school where Brittany is on staff. And there was a time when I was a homeschool parent and I really, really loved it, but our situation changed and I had to go back to work full time. And through the grace of God, my kids were able to go to the school where Brittany is. And that really set Cecily on a really different trajectory in her education. And it was just really wonderful. So I have been in the homeschool world, public school world, and charter school world in different capacities. And I also just want to be really clear. You need to pick as a parent guardian, what method makes sense for your kid. Every kid is different, and that's okay. And we're really blessed to live where we live and in a time where we live where we have options for our kiddos. So when you choose what's best for your kiddo, like, don't be embarrassed by it or ashamed of it or like make excuses for it. Do it. Do the thing that's best for your babies. Yes. So that's my soapbox, because I get fired up. You'll enjoy that later. If a topic comes up and I get fired up, just watch out, because my hands go crazy. Sometimes I'll sit on my hands. Like I always tell the kiddos in kids church, like I have to sit on my hands sometimes. I'll try, since I have guests. I normally just do it, but I could injure someone. So I'll try to be careful. So I just have some personal questions to get the ball rolling, get the jitters out. So I have some personal questions. So I'll just start with this one, and I'll start with you this time, Shanna, too.
Okay, sure.
Why did you choose education as a career path?
Okay, so for me, I think I chose to be a teacher. Like ever since I was like a little girl, I was always like, I want to be a teacher, because that was like the career that I think was modeled for me the most, Sure. I did have a little phase where I wanted to be an oceanographer, but I can't hold my breath under the water. So that's kind of out. My dream job was going to be to travel for National Geographic and be like a photographer for them.
I love that.
Oh, I'd love to do that. However, I kind of have always known that I was like going to be a teacher. I want to be a teacher, but it really came to light. Like I could take you to the little house when Tim and I first got married, the little house that we lived in. And I was just remember praying, crying out to God. We got married. I was finishing up school, and it was just like God was like, "This is your calling. Like it's not just for you to teach. It's just like this is my plan for your life." And so like I know that like this is what I'm supposed to do. I can't imagine like doing anything else. And so I feel like I always knew that I wanted to be a teacher, but I also feel like it was just that divine, like it's your calling.
This is your call.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's really amazing.
Yeah,
I love that. How about you, Britt?
Very different again. Although it is divine intervention. I actually, I grew up with parents that didn't go to college. So my parents just always were very encouraging for me to try my best and for me to just show up in the best way possible. And however that looked, that's what that looked like. And I did really well through school. I applied to colleges on my own. I had no idea what I was doing, but I just did it. And I originally thought that I was going to go into the medical field. But as a little girl, I remember praying like, God, I just want to make a difference in the world. I just want to help people, like those types of prayers. And one day I was laying in my college dorm room, and I was on the track to be a nurse, and that's what I thought I wanted to be. And I don't know. I woke up and I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And so I went to, it's really weird hearing your voice on the other side. I went to the advising center at Western, and I said, hey, I'd really like to figure out if this is what I'm supposed to do. So she gave me a bunch of tests, and I took all the tests, and guess what? It came back that I'd be good at anything. So I was like,
this wasn't helpful at all.
That you're gonna do something that's helpful or caregiving, and I'm like, great. And so she was like, really, you're not in your test. You're not really showing that you really like science, and you really need a lot of science for nursing. And I was like, really? I love science. And she was like, I think you'd be a great teacher. And so I was like, I'll be a teacher.
All right.
And so I had also always prayed that I wanted to be a mama. And that was really important to me because growing up, my parents were divorced, and both of them had to work very hard to provide for me. And so they were working a lot. Thank you, because they provided great things for me and a good life. But I wanted to be with my kids as much as possible. And God kept showing me like, okay, you can be at their school, you can be off when they're off. Like this is a great thing. And so I just switched my major that day. And if you know me, that's kind of surprising, kind of not surprising.
Yeah.
So I switched my major, and I was like, hey, I'm a first generation college student. Worst comes to worst, I got a degree. I can go do anything. Like that was kind of my mentality.
But that's also kind of the way college was sold to us back then.
It
It
was.
was like, if you have this piece of paper, you can do anything.
Yes.
It's true.
Cheese and crackers.
So it's like, hey, even if I don't like teaching,
I'll have the degree.
I'll have the degree, and I could do business or something. I don't know. And God just really kept calling me to teaching my senior year. I really loved my classes. I loved my professors. I did really well in college. And my senior year, I got mono in college, and I couldn't finish my student teaching because I got mono. But I had already passed the praxis. So I was like not going to be a teacher at that point because it was really stressful. And so I'd applied to graduate school, and I loved my job as an RA at Western. And so I was going to be college student personnel. Like that's what I was going to do. And I got into college for that, and I was on track to go, and I got mono. I went back home and relaxed in our dorm room. We had the married dorm. I know. It's awesome. And I laid down, and I had applied for other jobs for whatever reason, and I got a call from a dear friend of our family. She called and she said, "Hey, I have a kindergarten interim, and I'd really like for you to go interview for it." And I was like, ugh, because I wasn't going to teach. I was trying to get out of it again. And I still didn't know what I wanted to be. So all you college kids out there, like, God surely will lead your way.
Yes.
This was my senior year. Like, I was getting ready to graduate. And because it was like April, I was graduating in May, and then I was going to graduate school in August. So I was like, okay, I'll go to the interview, because I really cherished this woman, Jackie Byerly, if anybody knows her.
Sweetheart.
Great principal and leader and mom and family friend to us. And I went to interview with a lady, Kay Southern, amazing principal. And I fell in love with it. And I accepted it and dropped out of graduate school before I even got started. And finished the year as an interim kindergarten teacher at a sweet little school. And it just reignited my, like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then there's been many other times where, like, I have been like, okay, God, I think I want to do something else. And he's like, no, this is not it yet.
No.
Good try.
All that to say, I still really love being, and have always loved being with the kids. And I have always took my job very seriously.
Yes.
Despite it all.
I would say both of you are, to me, in the professional world, so passionate about what you do. And you're both like professional students as well. Like, you're both always learning. And I'm like, aren't you done yet? You know, just stop. It's fine. Like, I say at least once a day to the Lord, like, I don't want to learn anything else. I'm good. Like, I've learned enough. I've got enough life lessons. I've read plenty of books. I think we're good. Just let me coast. And he just doesn't do that. So, but you guys are just, I think, great testimonies for, like, you love what you do. You care about what you do. So you keep training yourselves and taking these opportunities to be the best in your field. And I just think it's amazing.
I do have to share something funny.
Okay.
My master's degree is in science.
I was wondering if you want to say that.
It's
I was going to say, like, you do STEM stuff all the time. I can't believe those tests failed. Are you telling me a standardized test
didn't work.
didn't work?
It didn't work.
It didn't shape who you are completely?
It didn't.
I hope you're listening. Raleigh, take away the standardized testing. Don't get me started. Okay, you have to divert me from that, okay? All right, so in all your years of teaching, now I know this from, like, I can remember there was a certain class a long time ago when I was at West Buncombe that was just my favorite little class. And there's some of those little kiddos that I still think about. They were just so sweet. And now they're like seniors in high school, which is weird. So do you have a favorite year or class that you can remember? Like, did you have that kind of experience where there was like, this class was just so sweet, or this class was so hellacious, I have blocked it out from my memory? Did you have that experience? You're safe here.
I don't really have like a particular class that like stands out. I know that, like, I feel like some years are better than other years. You know, it's just like the community that you're building and all the little people that are coming in. But I think for me, it's just the most memorable is like when I think about just the little sweet kindergartners, you know, just like those relationships. And then I'll just kind of remember like, oh, I remember when their mom used to come in and volunteer, or I remember their mom had a baby that year, or, you know, whatever, just like the families, I think, of the kiddos.
Yes.
I just really have very fond memories.
I love that.
I love that. I think my first class ever will always have a special like place in my heart.
Yes.
So I think they're sophomores, juniors in college now.
Oh, wow.
And they were little first graders. And I still have
that is
several
sweet.
that reach out to me. Josie Frady, I know you're one of them.
Oh.
And just several others that are in that class that I just adore. And then there's a class that was really hard that like I actually looped with them. It was this class was my only con for not going up.
Okay.
And so I was like, whew, I don't know if I can do this class again. And I am so glad I did, because I ended up looping one is a phenomenal experience. And if you ever get that for your kids to have the same teacher twice in a row, such a wonderful experience for parents, teachers, and kids. But also this class, like, to this day, I have such a sweet, like, memory of them and us, like, working through the hard together, and like the humans that they're becoming now, and I get to see it, even though they're not in my class. I still get to see them out and how they're doing. Sweet. It's really sweet and special.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Last year, so Shanna has been in the education world a long time. She was at one school, and then she bravely followed God to another school, which I think is incredible. And I have a weird thing that I love. I love doing like bulletin boards. And it's such a strange thing. I also like filling out forms. And so there's that, whatever that means. Let's not take a test to figure out what that says about me. But I do love, like, I remember back in the day when you would register for the SAT, and it was basically like a book, right? People would bring me their SAT forms to the library, and I'd be like, yeah, let's fill it out. This would be fun. Let's do it. And they're like rolling their eyes back in their head. I'm like, no, this is a good time for me. But so I love back to school time when my teacher friends, like, if they ask for help to decorate the bulletin boards, which is weird because I'm not like I don't really care about cutesy stuff, but I think it's like just you do it and it looks good. And you're like, I did that. Yay. And now
you can see the finished product.
Yeah, and it just feels good. And so last year I was helping Shanna and her classroom. And I've also, as I've talked about a lot to anyone, and I really need to have like a kids' church day where the kids' church kids can tell you the things I've told them about myself. But I'm really easily distracted. That's why my office at work, I have a really hard time if it becomes cluttered or whatever, because I cannot focus. There's so many issues to unpack there, but that's not for today. So I was helping Shannon in her room, and she had me doing something, and it was really fun. And I'm like stapling and gluing and whatever, making the room so beautiful. And I looked around and I was like, Shanna, this room would make me, I'd be your worst student, because I'd go, and I don't know how to look at all the things at once. And Shanna like humbled me instantly. I know that wasn't her intention, but it was just, this just shows like where her heart is. She said, I know that some of these kids, this is the only happy room that they're in. This is the only kid-friendly space that they're in. She's like, so every inch is going to be kid-friendly. And I was like, okay, give me more staples. Like, let's go. Let's go. It totally got my thing. What is that? Stephanie Morgan? Hey, sweet girl. Are you all about the filling out forms, or you need me to fill out your forms? Are you just making fun of me online? Is that what's happening right now? Bring me all your forms, people. I will fill them out. It brings me great joy. I'm such a weirdo. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I might be giving people too much ammunition to use against me later in life, but oh well. So this part, I think it's good for parents to hear this part of, because some parents might be the mindset like, why in the world would you opt to be with children all day? Because kids are bonkers, right? So here's my question to you guys is, because I think this helps with like the humanity part of what you do. What in your role right now is the best part and the most challenging part about what you do? I think it's important for parents to remember that you are teachers, but you're also human. So, you're coming in there with your personal stuff going on in your lives, but then you can flip a switch and you are so caring for these kiddos, but also conflicts happen, hard days happen. So I think it's just nice to remind parents that while you're a teacher, you're also human. So yeah, a best part and hardest part about what you do.
Well, hands down, the best part is being with the kids.
Yes.
Even if you think it's bonkers, I really
Mhm.
love it. That's what fuels me to do anything I do, make any decision I make
Mhm.
to like what is best for kids and
Yes.
how are they gonna get the best education and thrive in this setting. And
Yes.
always kids. My hardest would probably just be society as a whole.
Hmm.
And how they view education and teachers, and that we've just kind of shifted in our society of how teachers and education are respected and viewed, and how hard and difficult that can be to go up against sometimes.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's a really good point. Okay. How about you, Shanna?
Yeah, I completely agree. My answer for the best would be the kids. I mean, they're,
Mhm.
you know, that's why we're there. They're so stinking sweet and just so, just love them. I think the hardest part too is just sometimes I think the expectations. I feel like we wear so many hats
Mm.
as educators that sometimes I think our society forgets that, like you're saying, like we're, you know, like I'm a wife first, I'm a mama first, and then I'm a teacher. You know, there's
Right.
like an order
Yes.
to my life that God
Yes.
has made, and I just think that I don't know. It's just we do a lot, and I think there's a lot that people don't realize we do sometimes.
Yes.
But just where it used to just be like, if you were the teacher, and in other cultures, I think they do a better job of this
Yes.
than we do in the United States. But like if you were a teacher, like that just was automatic, like respect. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
Kind of like when we were
Yes.
little, I guess. Like, well, you're a teacher, you know. And now it's kind of like you have parents or families that almost are like pitted against you sometimes,
Yes.
and you're like, that's not going to help anything. We're on the same team, you know.
Yes.
So I think that's
Yeah.
I think that would be a huge challenge for sure.
I think that there's talking about like just the societal shift to things is when we were growing up, the expectation for respecting your elders,
Mhm.
respecting people in authority was just part of how we were
Yes.
brought up, whether you were a believer or not. That was just
Yeah,
like part of it.
absolutely. Mhm.
And you know, that shift to things being all about entitlement and I'm all about emotional health and social health, but I'm also like there has to be balance where it's not, you know, a feelings based
Mhm.
thing. Like sometimes your kid's gonna have a bad day. Sometimes you're gonna have a bad day.
Yes.
That, you know, the teacher's job's not to fix all the things.
Right.
And I've seen many times where there could be stuff that is home centric and the educators are doing everything they can to help and assist. By the end of the day, they can't fix the thing that's going on at home, but they will support and encourage and love your kid and challenge your kid.
Mhm.
So I do think there's like this weight of, well, they're with you this many hours, so fix it. So you
Yes,
fix the behavior
yes.
issue, or you fix the reading light bulb hasn't gone off yet, or
Mhm.
you just like handle it. And I had a really cool experience, and Shanna, you did this too, where we got to teach online to kiddos in China,
Mhm.
and which was just a different experience in and of itself. And it's China, so Chinese expectations anyway are way different than Americans.
Mhm.
But like I just remember the classes were one-on-one, and every once in a while you'd see like a hand on the back of the head or something, like if a kid got sassy or like,
Yeah.
you know, lazy, that you could hear Mandarin, and then that kid would, you know, and just like buck up. And I remember I did the rural education program, so it's me on a screen to 50 plus kids,
Mhm.
and you could hear a pin drop, and those kids are like so excited to be in your presence and just to have fun. And the last day of my last rural education class, like the teacher came on, I had my script, you know, I had my props, I was ready to educate. And the teacher came on. I had not seen the teacher the whole year. I had never seen her face. I had never heard her voice, because that classroom was so on. I would see her walk out after like that. I'd see the back of her head, and then it would just be these 50 plus kids in a classroom and me on a screen. And I'm thinking about that anywhere else. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Also, I'm not a big proponent of like fear-based learning either, but I'm just saying it's really, really, really cool. And but at the end, the teacher popped up and she was thanking me, just like, thank you for this time and for giving up your time with these kids. And then the kids had like made up dances and like they were playing a song. What was the song? It's like a See you again.
Oh.
Yes, and they're singing it and dancing it. They're doing like acrobatics, and I'm just like weeping. And not that that's the expectation in like everyday classrooms, but it is that there used to be just a different level of respect. And to me, from my parental view, is I'm entrusting someone else with my baby for X amount of hours of the day. So I need to look at that as a partnership and as a team effort, and not as like a something to combat and conflict over. So it is, but it can be challenging because I've had interactions with teachers from the mama view, and I've had interactions with parents from the teacher view, and it is a tricky
And I also
to navigate.
I also just want to say, like, I know that people are coming from experiences where school wasn't a good thing.
That's
or
right.
wasn't a happy place.
That's
all day,
right. That's
or
right.
teachers didn't treat them
Mhm.
correctly or whatever.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I understand that, but I feel like those should, and maybe I'm just wrong, but those should be outliers rather
Mhm.
than
Yeah.
a generalization of how
Yes.
it feels
Sure.
overall.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want to negate the outliers at all,
Right.
but it's just interesting that that it's more of a generalization
It
for
is.
us than
Right.
than
It
the
is.
outliers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Right. So remember your dating days, you might have dated some jerks. And it happens. Don't hold all the other guys to the standard of the jerk, right? You might have a bad teaching experience. So don't hold all teachers to the same experience that you've already
Right.
had to deal with. That
Their
is a
question.
good word. Was that
Very
a
good.
question, or were you like amening my
That was a-
don't be a jerk
Amen.
thing or whatever? I wish you guys could see my super patient husband behind the screen there with the faces he's making every once in a while. It's really entertaining for us. All right. Last question in this little section. Do you have any professional goals for this year? What are your professional hopes for this year? Mine is to never have to deal with a renovation project again. I so hate renovations. Put that out there. That's my professional goal.
That's hilarious.
That is hilarious. For me, the school that I'm at, we are trying to rebrand our school, and
Okay.
so just we're just gonna make it more awesome than it is. And so what I personally want to do is focus more on global education.
I love
And
that.
just the students that I have, sometimes their experiences are very limited as
Mhm.
far as like what they've been exposed to.
Hmm.
But if I can take them around the world through a book or a video, or just kind of broaden their horizons, and like, you can grow up, you can do whatever you want to do, you can be whatever you want to be, that kind of thing. So
Oh, I
for me
like that.
personally, just putting more of that in my curriculum where it fits, and it fits great in our standards, by the way. For kindergarten, it fits in there. So just
We'll give Rowan
Yeah.
a thumbs up for that one.
yeah, we like those standards. We like those social studies standards. But yeah, just trying to do little things to just make
Yeah.
sure that they realize that there are people that are different from them. That live in this
love that.
great big world that we're blessed to live in. And so yeah.
Okay. I like that you're sporting your school colors today too.
Oh, didn't even realize
Bringing in the
that.
sport, the school colors to the
Both
awesome
are,
level. I
actually.
know.
Unintentionally.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
Y'all
I had
just-
no idea.
You just didn't even know. That's who you are now. Is you're dressing
You're
in school
school
colors
colors.
you're not aware. Good job, guys.
That's hilarious. I have a resource. Remind me to
Oh,
give it to you.
please. Yes, thank you.
I think it would be really cool to use with your aligned standards.
Thank you. Thank you.
For me, this is a big year for our school. Our 2 founding teachers are leaving, and after 27 years of hard work and dedication, I just want to soak all that they have in order to take the school throughout another many years with making it our own, but also keeping the heart and the foundation of the founding teachers, and just that we don't have any floods.
Right. Yeah.
No water issues this year.
That's a great prayer request. Praying against flooding at this sweet school. All right, so we're going to switch gears. Thank you for being transparent about your educational journey and world and stuff. I think it's really helpful to hear these things. I really, really do. I think, especially when you've had a negative teaching experience with your kids, it can be really hard to like let go of that as you take on a new school year. So this is your challenge right now, is if you've had cruddy in the past, try to let it go, a little bit of grace, a little bit of mercy and forgiveness, and then start with a little hope this year. And we'll just pray that your kiddos have the best school year yet. That's what we're hoping for.
Yes.
So we're going to talk now about some encouragement or some words of wisdom for parents specifically. So have it like broken down into chunks of personal, which you guys passed with flying colors. Good job. Good job.
We know a lot about ourselves.
Good job. I'll invite you back to talk more about yourselves another day. And I won't give you the questions ahead of time on that day. We'll see what happens. So now we're going to go to some thoughts for parents, and then we'll wrap up with some encouragement and wisdom and stuff for other teachers and educators who might be really excited about the year or already like, why did I do this with my life? So it can go either way. We have those days. So, and you've already kind of touched on this, but maybe even if you just go a step further with what is something you wish parents knew about teachers?
I think assume positive intentions. Like just go ahead and just assume that whatever I do is for the benefit of your kiddo. You know what I mean?
Trust
like
you.
kind of like you're saying like that, the negative experiences and think like just like put that out of your mind if you possibly can, and just be like, you know what, this chick is here for my kid, and like just assume that those intentions are positive. Yeah. I think that would be very helpful, but also just that communication I think is so important. Like I would just like for parents to know, like just if I don't know if your kid's in my class and I don't know there's a problem, I can't fix it.
Yes,
So I think just that open
absolutely.
communication is so important. And even if once you develop that relationship and once you have that with the teacher, if you did have a negative experience, just being like, school was maybe not the happiest place for me, and that kind of as a teacher for me, it's kind of like, oh, I need to really be intentional about reaching out to that parent, and you know what I mean. It just kind of helps me. I don't want to say like love on them more, but
It's
like
like
just
to
be
know
aware.
how to love them.
Yes,
if you're coming with some heartache and some unresolved issues and you don't know about it, but if you do know about it, like I can word this a little bit differently, or maybe a newsletter is not the best way. Let's talk face to face or whatever. I love that, Shanna. That's really good. That's really good.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing about most teachers are coming with the best intentions for your kids.
Yes.
Most teachers, just like us, that's the best part of their job.
Yeah.
And so they love that part, right? There's a lot of other factors like standards and rules and initiatives and different things that we have to do. But that for the most part, we want the best for your kid, and we want them to thrive and be successful, and that it's okay if different teaching styles are given to your kids, because that will help them become great adults, that they can learn from all different types of people and how they communicate and how they come across. And we don't have to love them all, but they will bring something to our kids. And and letting that be a teachable thing rather than a negative thing. Like, hey, like,
you're even looking past the school year. You're looking like this is a life skill.
Right.
You're going to have people who they're not all going to be your favorites. You're not going to mesh with every personality, but how can we make this a successful experience for teacher and student going all the way through the school year? Yeah. We have that conversation, not as much anymore, but I guess because my kids have gotten a little bit more like real life experience by being in the workforce and their forced volunteering that I do with a grateful heart all the time. Don't worry about it. It's totally fine. But just like learning like personality stuff is real.
It's real.
Yes.
Okay, and you have this much control over it. Like I tell my kids, you can control you. You can control how you respond. You can control what kind of words you use. And when you're a believer, you have that extra thing on you of like you're being light to someone who might not have any light.
That's exactly right.
So that can be, I mean, that's heavy. That's heavy and it can weigh on us. And you guys being believers who are in the system, I just think, again, like it's just that shift of when we were younger, like you knew who all the Christians were or the believers were, and so like those, and it was like a safe thing. It wasn't a nerve-wracking thing. So it's like our culture is so different now, and so it's like we have to learn how to be a light in dark places in a way that's safe for us, and not putting pressure on kids or like a hidden agenda out there, but just being that, just remembering though when we take on the hard stuff, when we have the hard conversations, is we have that little extra challenge of, we're showing them the love of Jesus whether they know it or not.
Yes.
Like that's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
So that's I would encourage you, as if you're watching this and you're a believer as a parent, like that also is on you. All of us who profess to follow Jesus and to love God and to serve him, we have all this extra stuff that we've got to do. That's so sweet. Thank you, Tiffany Parker. I love your little love this. Thank you. I love it. But we have that. All of us are held to a different standard. We're being challenged to be the light, to be the salt. And although I know we get lots of opportunities to apologize for not being very lighty or the good kind of salt, we're trying to. Sometimes I am salty, but it's not to the glory of God. So those are things that we get to work on. But yes,
we're human.
We are so human.
Yes.
So
Bottom
just
line.
Bottom line, we're human.
Yes.
Yes.
But as a parent, like a guardian and a caretaker, even if you have a teacher that is completely different minded than you know Jesus. So there's that. Do with that what you will. Keep those comments private, I guess. We'll talk about those one-on-one if you
Maybe
need
get
to.
a little salty with you.
Yeah, I know. Like I'm bringing Amber to the next parent-teacher conference. Like, oh man, what have I done? Oh, what have I done? That's not part of my job description, but I would be very entertained to do that with you. But I wouldn't love that. Okay, so my husband's showing me stuff. So pause, please. What questions did you ask your kids after a day of school? I feel like how was your day is generic and doesn't get me far with neither of my very different kids. Your kids are awesome because we know them, we love them, but I'll give a little my rule and then I'll share. I can let you guys share. Okay.
Yeah.
So always open-ended questions are the thing, right? Which I think we all know that's kind of the general thing, but I will tell you, and Titus still knows this. We still practice this where I would say, tell me 3 things about your day or tell me something good about your day. Oftentimes I'll get all the negative real fast. That's easy for kids, just like gush out or like fine, good, whatever. My point, my bit of wisdom is maybe not asking them right after school, because the same way if I have like a meeting day, the last thing I want to talk about after my meeting day is my meeting.
Yes.
Because I'm still feeling all the feelings from said meeting. If it wasn't like a woohoo thing, right? So I would say pick a neutral time later in the day, maybe during like getting ready for a bath or even around the dinner table. We haven't done this in a long time, but we used to have a cup on our dinner table that had questions in it. And we pull a question out and have that kind of thing. And sometimes it was school related and sometimes it wasn't, but it was just building that natural, like having conversations with your kids about all the things. So I would, my nugget is not asking them right as soon as you pick them up or right after they get off the bus when they're just still feeling all the things that school brought to them. How about you guys? What do you think?
That's a great one. And I feel like I'm living right now also. So I just want to like preface as a teacher and as a parent, like a lot of kids, especially, actually, I find it across the board of ages. that will just answer like good
Mhm.
or okay or
Mhm.
fine or I don't remember or
Mhm.
you know, just very vague
Mhm.
answers. But one thing that I find, I do like Amber's idea of waiting, just saying like, I'm so glad to see you when they get in the car, and
Yeah.
you know, like, and also just being really quiet. Sometimes being really quiet allows them to be like, this happened to me or blah, 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 and not you asking them. But also asking specific open-ended questions like, what did you play at recess today?
Mhm.
Who did you play with? Like, was there a time that you were helpful to the teacher? Or
Mhm.
was
Yes, I love that.
there a hard part of the day? Can you think of a hard part? Or just like more specific open-ended questions.
Mhm.
And also I find the passing around the questions at the dinner table is really effective, and we answer it as parents.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's not about school per
Right.
se, but it's about the day, and like it just gets us talking more and more to each other. And then
And they're not always the same question.
They're not always
so
the
it's
same
not like you're
questions.
opening the door. How was school?
How
what was
was-
lunch?
right,
And it's
right,
like, ba, 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 and you're, oh my gosh, 20 more questions. I just answered questions all day long.
yeah, but it gets us talking,
Yeah.
or it makes them think of a story that happened,
Mhm.
like, oh, today at recess somebody fell over and this is what happened, and I
Mhm.
helped them, or whatever.
Yeah, I
that
like
gets
that.
them talking more. So I here to that, but also just like being quiet and letting like them, and they may not
Mhm.
initiate it. That's when the cards come in,
Mhm.
but they may, and that's really
Yeah.
cool
Mm-hmm.
to have
I like
organic
that.
conversations of like, hey, I missed you today, and then just wait for it if
Yeah.
you do it after.
Because it's hard to be the mama who's not been with your kid all day, and you're just like, I wasn't there, so I need to know.
Yeah.
You know, and the kid's like, I just left there for the love. Let me breathe, woman. You know, so it's like we maybe kind of remembering the things that we deal with is from the adult perspective, and allowing the quiet, the stillness, asking other questions that have nothing to do with school, and then that can bring in those conversations. I like that. How about you,
Yes,
Shanna?
yes.
What do you think? You've
I'm-
successfully raised two.
Well, they are pretty awesome. I didn't mean that like my kids aren't awesome, but I'm just saying, you know,
So-
there's moments I'm
Wow.
like, well, they're getting ready to go out in the big bad world themselves, so we'll see how that is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
They're gonna do great.
I really couldn't think of anything. The only thing I could think of is when Brittany was saying like be specific.
Mhm.
Just like I feel like parents, like, you know what's going on,
Yeah.
and your kids, like, you know, you had like a big project, or you had, you know, if they're in high school or middle school, so and so's class, or you know, that kind of
Yes.
thing. But just like, well, how was English class today, or how
Mhm.
was, you know, that kind of thing. So I think it can be sort of a balance of like the
Sure.
open ended, and then like the really specific,
Mhm.
like how did, you know, what did you eat for lunch, or you know,
Right,
that kind of
yeah.
thing. So
I think for kids, just like for us, it's nice to have variety.
Yes.
So not having
Yes.
like a rote thing helps, which can be hard on the mama brain to like, oh, that's one more
Yes.
thing I need to facilitate. But there are so many cool websites and resources too that have cute little like lunch cards, like things you can stick in their lunch boxes, or tabletop conversation type things that are really, really, really helpful. I did have a season where I was picking up 3 of my kids from 3 different schools. And so like I required quiet time until I got all 3 of them. And then we'd do kind of like a round robin thing. And I, you know, especially when they were in the middle school ages, where it'd be like, you know, I say, well, you guys know how this is going to end. Like
You can tell me.
You can tell me, or I'm
Yeah.
going to wear you down, and it's going to get real annoying. That probably wasn't a parent win per se, but my kids did, like, we did get to where they would know, like, all right, she's going to ask me, tell me 3 things about your day, or whatever it
Yeah.
was, and like eventually they gave in. But
They
middle
can start
school, the middle
processing
school
that.
years were the worst. It was like, you already know, or you volunteer at my school, you saw me. I'm like, I'm trying to be a good mom and engaged right now. Can we have a conversation, please? Which is super inviting, and I would respond well to that as an adult when someone barks at me. So, you know, also tone matters.
And I also get, because I came from a single mama,
Mhm.
so I get that like printing off cards and like being intentional
Yeah.
about that can just be like one more thing,
Yeah.
or like, and I feel like as this is a generation of
Mhm.
mamas, there is like this pressure to do it a
Do
certain
all the
way and
things,
do
yeah.
the things. If you need help with cards, I'm happy to help you,
Yes.
but also you don't need the cards
No.
to talk with your kids, to pray for your kids and about their friends and
Mhm.
their teachers.
Mhm.
And that could be a start, as just praying that they'll talk to you.
Yeah,
You know, like,
absolutely.
Yes.
Praying that that God will open up their little hearts to
Mm.
want to share the things in their lives.
And conversely, share about your day.
Yeah.
And share about the
Mhm.
things that are going well with you, things that are
Yes.
you're struggling with.
Mhm.
I think it's even now with Cecily and Titus, who are still at home but getting ready for their next phase of life. If I say something to them about like something I'm struggling with, it hits different on you can see it on their face. They're like,
Mhm.
wait, what? Like, you have a problem with blah blah blah? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
This was my day, and
Yes.
oh, you got to hear some of it. Sorry. Now I get to apologize to you yet again. But I think even our kiddos just knowing, like, because they don't know what we're doing while they're at school, just
Right.
like giving them a little bit of, hey, this was something really cool that happened today, or so this was nuts. This meeting lasted for 4 hours. I learned nothing, and my brain hurts. Do you ever feel that way? Just like
Yes,
bringing that little bit
yes,
of that
Yes.
that I'm
Like,
still
I'm here with
struggling
you.
to. Yeah, you're not alone. It
Yeah.
looks
Right.
different, but you're not alone. I love when I say something to my kids and kids still get like a little bit of shock value.
Yes.
That's when I feel like I'm successful as a parent. It's just that little bit of shock value. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, I revel in it.
Yes.
And then my poor kids are like, yes, there's something else to write down for their therapist. I'm like, yes, I know. All right. So the next couple might be a little like
Dicey.
difficult to answer, just because we have experienced these things and it can make us feel icky, but it's going to be about conflict stuff. So how should parents deal with a conflict with a teacher?
Mhm.
I always say that your teacher is your first point of contact. So if you have an issue with a teacher or something that happened in class, your teacher is always your first point of contact. So going in with best intentions, she's doing he or she, they are doing the best for with my kid, and they are going to like be doing that all day. So I'm going to go in knowing that was their intentions, and then telling them, hey, this happened today, can we talk about it? Not going in with guns blazing, but I always feel like the teacher is your first point of contact.
Yes.
There's wisdom to that for sure.
And good advice was, as a teacher, I'll believe 50% of what your kids say about you if you believe 50% of what your kids say about me.
Preach.
Yes.
Oh my goodness,
Yes.
y'all. Prayer
Yes.
request time on a Sunday morning. Mercy. Yeah, I take that with all the grains of salt. Lord.
Yes.
That's a good word.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good word. How about you, Shannon? Do you have anything?
The first thing that came to my mind was just like pray about it first before you go in guns blazing. Just ask God to like calm your heart, for you to say the right words. Chances are the teacher may have not even known that something, there's another conflict with another student, or we're not all knowing, all seeing, so
Right.
things do happen in our class that we don't always know about. So I think just giving the teacher the benefit of the doubt that, we are human, and like, hey, did you realize that I think there's a way to approach things where, the teacher's not going to be all,
Yes.
ready to pounce. And just having that communication, I think just having that open communication is so important. But yes, definitely go to the teacher. I don't think going over the teacher's head to administration or anything like that is necessary unless it gets to that point where you've talked to the teacher, nothing has changed, nothing has happened, you're not happy with the response or the level of like, this is the next step or whatever, then yes, definitely involve administration. But I think definitely the teacher should be the first.
And I know that this is later on, but for teachers, like, your first point of contact should always be a positive one, so that you're opening the door for parents to come and say, hey, I have this problem, or like, not every thing is negative, right?
Yes.
Right.
So
absolutely.
you open this door to like be able to have both.
I like that. I like that a lot. Well, in that same vein, what about your kiddo is having a conflict with another student? what is some wisdom that you can give to parents about handling? Because I know for me, shockingly, I'm the, well, you know what, like suck it up, buttercup kind of person. And like, you're not bleeding and you're breathing, you're fine. Until there was a time when okay. So like just our world, we use the word bullying for things that maybe aren't bullying. Like sometimes it's
Maybe
kids
we
being
should define
kids,
that.
and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
for sure,
Yeah.
like there's teasing and picking on and
Being
still and
mean
like
and-
just silliness, and then there's mean, and then there's bullying.
Yes.
And we had a situation with our daughter Cecily, back in elementary school where there was stuff going on with her, and she, you know, she is a little bit different. She had developmental delay, so she'd have to be in a different reading group, and the kids would notice she'd get pulled out from class for different things. And there was like one girl that just really targeted Cecily. And initially, my response from being in the classroom and being like, you know, every kid has a story. You know, this kid probably has crazy stuff going on, and she did. We found out later she did, but it was like, initially I wanted Cecily to be able to understand, like, she's picking on you. She's like, she's not hurting you. But it turned into where Cecily was afraid to be in
Targeted
the
over and
bathroom.
over.
Yeah. And the girl was like holding her down in the bathroom floor and actual bullying, crazy things. So I know that that's really tricky from the parent perspective and from the teacher perspective. But, you know, we're wanting to instill in our kids the ability to have conflict resolution, and we want to build some skills in them.
Yes.
So if you have a kiddo who comes to you, comes to a parent and says, I'm having, this kid's bullying me, this kid's messing with me, whatever, what are the steps a parent should take to figure out how to help their kid? Not saying that the parents shouldn't be involved, but like to help their kid learn how to deal with these things too. I know that's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a layered
For sure.
question.
Yes.
But did you have something?
No. Probably the same. Go ahead.
We're
You go
probably
ahead.
gonna-
Yeah, I think we have probably similar answers. Go ahead.
So my first thought is like really hearing your kid,
Mhm.
but also like I'm kind of in the like suck it up buttercup realm also. You're not bleeding, or you know, it's too far from your heart, you won't die kind of thing.
We're making all the parent wins right now. Leave your children in our care.
we're being very transparent. No,
I promise they're safe when they're with us. I promise.
they really are.
That's why we have Shanna, because she's always sweet and loving.
I think yes, validating that, you know, like that was hard and those types of things, and just noting mentally for yourself, like how often is this coming home? Is it the same person over and over? Like what are they doing? You know, are they, you know, doing something in your mind that's minor, or are they doing something in your mind that's like not?
Yeah.
And then if it's minor, like helping your kid build skills to say stop, to stand up for themselves, to get help. I don't love tattling, and I really try to adjust instruction to where they know the difference between tattling and telling, and there is a difference.
Right.
Tattling is to get someone in trouble, and so Amber touched me. You even hear like this like twangy whine in their voice, whereas telling is like Amber touched me and I did not like it. You know, like there's a difference in tattling and telling, and so really listening to that. And it's okay to get help from adult when you need it. It's okay to get help from other people. And so like handling it in different ways. Now, if it's like a severe or more like, you know, like my kid was pushed down on the ground and then laughed at, that to me is not okay and serious.
Right.
And as much as my kid could say stop or don't do that, they're going to need some more support in that probably.
Yes.
Not only for their pride and like, hey, this kid just pushed me down in front of people and then laughed, that hurts, but also I'm physically hurting probably. And so they'll need like care for that. So I do often tell my kids to, if like get an adult to help. And then that way I can role play like how we conflict resolution, and they
Mhm.
eventually will be able to do it on their own later. I also don't want kids to like be run over, right? So I'm not just
Yes.
saying like, oh, go tell the teacher, oh,
Mhm.
just take it or anything like that. I don't expect that. So I'm not advocating for violence or anything like that, but at the same time, I do want people to be able to defend themselves and stop
Yes.
things that are not okay to them.
Yes. I love that. I love that. And it is like every situation is different. This is like a case by case. We can't really have like a blanket that would cover all the things.
Right.
But there are some basic things like you're saying, hear your kid, pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to what they're saying, how they're saying it, ask the follow-up questions, check in with the teacher.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
like have you seen any, you know, my son's talking about this thing happened on the playground. Have you noticed that? Or
Can you
Right.
keep an eye?
can you
or-
like
Yes.
keep me in the loop? Again, parents are not, or I'm sorry, teachers are not everywhere all the time.
Right.
So, you know, cluing the teacher in could be as an advocate and a support can be a good thing. But and the teacher might have some wisdom to shed on the situation too. So
Mhm.
that communication that Shanna keeps talking about is so important.
I also just want to like note that typically
Mhm.
when those situations occur are less structured times like
Right,
recess or
absolutely.
lunch
Lunchtime.
or around
Yes.
lockers or changing of classes
Mhm.
or different things like that. So teachers aren't directly right
Right.
there. And
Mhm.
so knowing that you don't have like someone right there with your
Mhm.
child at all
Mhm.
times
Right.
necessarily, that you really do have to like listen to your kid
Mhm.
and also take it with a grain of salt and also like validate it at the same time. It's kind of difficult
It
to
is
do
a
all the
balance,
things. It's
for
a balance.
Definitely.
So
Mhm.
Do you have anything to
Yeah.
add or?
I don't think so. I mean, I agree with everything you
Mhm.
said. I think it sort of depends, again, you know, case by case. But like if it's something severe, then I'm definitely going to get, you know, my administration involved, and we're going to
Absolutely.
kind of do some investigative work and, you know, kind of see
Right.
like what's prompting this, how long has this been going on, you know,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Because there's definitely support staff at school,
Yes.
you know, to
Right.
handle these kind of conflict things. So
Absolutely.
yeah, we
There's
don't want
resources.
we don't want any child feeling, you know, scared to come to school or
Right.
get on the school bus or, you know,
Right. Yes.
No,
PE or
we
you
wanna
know,
be safe.
recess or whatever, you know, those
That's
kind of
right.
things. So yeah,
I think
I
it
agree.
just all goes back to the point of just being open in communication with your kids, with the teachers, even when it's hard, even when it's awkward, even when it's yucky.
Even when it's
do
about
it.
them.
Yeah.
You can feel, you know.
Oh gosh.
Yes.
Yes. Those are fun calls when it's about your kid and your kid's
Yeah.
one doing the thing. You're like, cool. Yeah. Can we please tell me more about this? Feels great. You know?
Yeah.
So one that a thing that I wish I had a little bit more wisdom and support in, which is what I finally got when Shanna was in our life as an educator for Cecily. But when Cecily was really little, she was born with atypical cerebral palsy, so developmental delay, you know, dyslexia, a weird kind of dyslexia, like because all dyslexia is weird. But anyway, it's crazy. She had a lot of stuff working against her. And so there was a lady, but we didn't know all this stuff yet, right? And so when Cecily was in like preschool age, she was in like a mama's morning out thing at the church we attended in Georgia a gazillion years ago. And the lady who was Cecily's like teacher in that group had a background in special ed. Here are all the things I didn't know. Did not know that this lady had a background in special ed. Did not know that there's anything wrong with my kid because I am not the person who's going to read the books about what my kids should and shouldn't be doing by certain ages because that's just not how I do things.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it's like, and she could talk as soon as everything started working. That so I just like from my perspective, yes, from my perspective is like, well, she was like that. The verbal is there,
Yes.
So she might just be taking her time and walking, you know, like I had no context. And like we went to the pediatrician, there was nothing there were no red flags from the pediatrician. And so this lady says to me, like at church, like on a Sunday morning when I'm picking Cecily up from the nursery, and she's just like, there's something wrong with your daughter. And says it just like that in the hallway, parents everywhere. And I hear nothing after that.
Right.
All of and I was very mousy. I know could be shocking for people, but there was a time in my life when I was very mousy and very like demure and submissive in the way of like, don't
Rock the boat.
don't rock any boats. And I'm like, blow them boats up. Let's go. Like, well, YOLO. It's like short. Say the things. Anyway, so as soon as she said that to me in that way, in front of all these people, and like I'm living far away, I have no family around me and all that, it's like I instantly was like,
Mama bear.
and we didn't go back. I didn't take Cecily back to nursery. And if that lady was volunteering, I would tell the kids ministry director I don't want her around my daughter, because of just the way it came across was so it was so negative and just mean. It was just like this mean thing. And then years later, we had moved back to North Carolina. We qualified for like similar to like Head Start, but it wasn't Head Start, but it was something like that. And Cecily was in this program, and the preschool teacher was former special ed and had the sweetest countenance, and called me in for a meeting, called Cecily's dad and I in for a meeting, and said, hey, here are some things I've noticed about Cecily. Has your pediatrician said anything about these things? And her delivery was just so different, and where I didn't feel defensive and where I felt more like from the get-go, she was going to be on my side.
Yeah.
Now, my mom had been a teacher, retired from the teaching world. So I had seen year after year, like the conflict between like teachers and parents, and then teachers and doctors. If you're trying to get like a label on your kid or a diagnosis or whatever, like there's always a battle. And so this lady was like, you need to go to, I would recommend going to a neurologist. And so thanks to her, that was the first time we went to a neurologist after having like changed pediatricians 3 times to be able to get a pediatrician to sign off on her being able to go
A referral
to a neurologist, where that doctor found out she had a stroke in utero that triggered a premature birth. That's where all this stuff was coming from. There are parts of her brain that have all this other things happening. And that changed how we worked with Cecily.
Yeah.
Because what was the same stuff was not going to work with Cecily that would work with the kids that I had nannied or, had taught or whatever. Like everything was new. But that delivery between, like, I was just thinking, like, if I had listened to the first lady, I could have been more proactive. But I'm not going to listen to someone who comes at me or comes at my kid.
Absolutely not.
Right. And so if you, as a parent,
That's your baby.
that's your baby. And that's where it mattered so much to me when I had, like, when we had to start the IEP process with Cecily and to get occupational therapy and physical therapy and all this stuff. And it was so overwhelming and it was so stressful. And those meetings, like as a parent, you come in and it's like, there's the teacher who and you're like, oh, I know this person. But then there's all these other professionals that you've never met before, and the principal or an assistant principal. And you're like, you feel like you are bringing drama, or like your kid's bad or something for not fitting the mold. And that's when Shanna said to me, like, you are this little girl's advocate. You do whatever is right for this little girl, and you fight hard, you say what you want to say. And that really empowered me as a parent. But I know there's so many parents who don't have an advocate. And so if you're a parent and you are noticing, or you have concerns about your kid developmentally or emotionally, socially, behaviorally, what are some ways parents can navigate that with their teachers, with their kids' teacher? Because it can be really, like, as a parent, you feel like you've messed up somehow.
Yeah, and it's really foreign too. All the documents and all the
just even like steps on what to do and who to talk to.
It just feels like, yes, I'll sign it.
Absolutely, yes.
That's a really good question. The teacher is always the first point of contact, and like building that relationship with your teacher is so imperative. But also, we're giving you permission as the 3 of us right now. Like, you are your kid's advocate.
Yes,
you are your kid's best advocate.
Yes.
And it's okay to speak up for what they need or for what you think they need.
Yes.
And even times when I felt like, man, this parent, or like, geez, we could have came out this at a different way, I always still say, like, hey, I'm glad they're speaking up for their kid. the delivery I might wish a little bit different, but
Sure.
like you wished
Sure.
a little bit different, you know, in that one person. But I will always support advocating for your kids, and I think most people will.
Yes.
And that we're happy to like connect you, like if you're close or you're a church family or we know you, I'm happy to like help connect you or talk to you about things. Because it is foreign, it is scary, and your kids aren't bad. And just because they're different doesn't mean that they're bad, or different doesn't mean bad, or
That's right.
like, ugh,
That's
or
right.
it just means that we're different. And
Right.
honestly, we all are.
Yes.
Yes.
So, I like approaching things the same way that the lady that you liked. Like, I noticed this is what I'm seeing. What are you seeing at home?
Yes.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
that type of approach is really helpful. Or, hey, I've been doing like reading with my kid every night at home, and so it's still not clicking. What else can I work on? And you know, as for teachers too, not assuming that people aren't reading at home with their kids or not making assumptions about different things. Like, we both have to do that.
Right.
So don't make assumptions about teachers, and teachers don't make assumptions about home life.
Yes.
But like, just having that really good communication with teachers, I think, is a really great way to open those doors. But also, that teacher can become your advocate if you don't feel like you can be an advocate, or find somebody that will. Like, I know I've sat and I'm not a special ed teacher, and that's not where my degree lies. I'm a general ed teacher background, but I am happy to sit in with, like, I sat in with as a general ed teacher, or just as a friend, to be like, do you understand this language, or do you understand what they're saying? Because
it's very intimidating.
different interventions and different like IEP goals, and you know, just different resources and things can be very jargony. And so having somebody that you feel comfortable going with you is also appropriate. Just let your team, if you're doing a like IEP, for instance, let your team members know that you'd like them to come, so that they can add it to the invitation.
That's right.
It's a, you know,
The process.
Yes. It's a, you know, check the boxes type of thing. But also just to make everybody feel comfortable, like we know who's going to be in the room, and different things like that. But I recommend reaching out to your teacher and building a good relationship with your teachers. If that doesn't work and you're still confused, reaching out to people that you do feel comfortable with, that know about the education world and different interventions, or counselors, or different people like that will know some like social emotional things to try. And then also, like, I'm offering myself to help if I know you, and not that I'll have all the answers, but yeah, I feel like when you don't feel alone, and you feel like you can yourself, or have somebody that will advocate for you and your kiddo, that's the best way.
It's so empowering.
Yeah.
You don't have to face it by yourself.
And there's different ways to approach it, you know, and some are better than others, depending on what you're facing. So.
Yeah. I totally agree with everything you said. I was just thinking, like, parents are the experts on their kids. You know, they know they know their advocate. They're their advocate, but they're also the expert. Like, I know my baby better than you do, or you know, that kind of thing. I also think that kids behave differently in different situations. So, you know, sometimes like I might see like things that are kind of like red flags for me in the classroom when I see how, you know, your child performs compared to the rest of the kids in the class, or the majority of the kids in the class, or, you know, or those kind of things. So I think it's just goes back to that communication and just that relationship with the teacher and the parent, so that I can say, hey, so this is kind of what I see. Like, what do you see at home? And, you know, sometimes parents are like, well, they don't act like that. And I'm like, well, that's because there's only one of them and lots of kids at school, and it's a different environment. You know, there's lots of extenuating circumstances, lots of moving pieces with that. But I think it's just that communication, you
Yes.
know, just that relationship building is just so I feel comfortable saying, you know, I really like something. And if it's nagging in your heart and your mind
Mhm.
that like my child just needs a little extra umph here or
Mhm.
something just doesn't feel right,
Yeah.
I would definitely say talk to the teacher about that.
Absolutely.
That first point of contact, and then
Or your pediatrician.
within or a
Yes.
pediatrician, yeah, and within that, there's just lots of support within the school
Mhm.
community that
Yes.
you know, we can offer, that we do offer, want to offer parents.
Yes. I love
Yeah.
that.
I was just gonna say, why don't we start a movement of normalizing like that people are just people, and
Right. I know.
like
For humans,
that
yes,
it's okay
yes.
that your kid needs support in reading,
Yes.
or that
Yes.
it's okay
Yes.
that your kid needs
Yes.
some more time to develop their emotional
Yes. Please, my
learning
goodness.
or like their development, and like it's not bad or good, it's
Right.
just is.
Right.
And like let's just normalize like, hey, yeah, we have these standards that we have to measure up to,
Mhm.
but that ultimately at the end of the day, that's your baby.
Yes.
That's a human.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes,
And
yes.
that it's okay. Like,
Yes.
and we may need to set different goals
Mhm.
for different things,
Mhm.
but that at the end of the day, like, can we just like love kids well
Can we just love them well? Yeah.
and
Yes.
not
Yeah.
have to be so
Appreciate their differences.
It's-
Appreciate that they're
Yes.
individuals.
Yes.
Yes. And as long as they're growing
Mhm.
on their scale, then
Let's celebrate that.
and they- you know, yeah, that's a huge celebration.
yeah.
Like what I do compared to what Brittany can do, like I can only do this much. Brittany's like, wait, she can do
Mhm.
this much. But
Yes.
yay me.
That's
you know,
right.
like it's
Yes.
only, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
we do have like the standards. We do have all the things that we are teaching all the kids, but you know, we're all different too. And I think
That's right.
just celebrating those differences is
Yes.
huge. And like how we get kids there and how we move kids, it's so individual.
Yes.
So individual.
Yes.
It
we
is.
Celebrating the
We
differences.
talk in a kids church is a different context, obviously, than the classroom, but we talk all the time about how God made each kiddo on purpose, with a purpose, and for a purpose.
Yes.
And we talk about that He made you, like the Bible says, He knit you together. I said, have you ever seen someone knit? Have you ever seen like how labor intensive and specific?
Intricate.
And it is so,
Yes.
and that's what God did with you. Is like you're not a mistake. You're not a mess up. You can be really good at this and really terrible at this, and that's okay because God made you that way. There's something in your head and your heart that only you bring to the table.
Mhm.
And I started this with my kids a long time ago, telling them, especially with the stuff with Cecily, was when this triggered, was that there's the scripture from Psalm that says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And so I would tell them that they were wonderfully weird.
Yeah.
And I'm like, isn't that wonderful that we're not all little robots? And so like we say that. And so like Brendan said it to me the other day.
I was gonna
Brittany's
say
little
it's been
boy,
passed down.
he says that to me. He's like, it's okay. And Amber's like, I'm just wonderfully weird. I'm like, you are. It's amazing. And so we have some new kiddos in kids church because we're in that like the transition of moving kids up. And we had a couple of kiddos on Sunday who are not familiar with this yet. They haven't been exposed to this yet. And I said, oh, I'm so glad to be here with all you wonderful weirdos. And it was like, and I was like, oh crud, damage control. They don't know what that means up here. And it was just seeing not just Brendan, but other kids like starting to understand, and hear them saying it to each other. Like, it's okay that you can't, like, it's hard for you to cut out that, whatever.
Yes.
And just like, normalizing that we are not these little robots. We are so special, and it brings so much to this world. The
Yes.
differences that these kiddos bring to our lives, they're just so amazing. So did you have something?
I was just gonna say one last thing
Yeah,
before
baby.
we move on.
Yeah.
Just also the power of yet. Like
Yes. Oh my goodness.
like just because we can't do it now, or that maybe it's not as stellar as this thing,
Mhm.
Mhm.
like that we can't ever get there.
Right.
Like we can keep working on it and trying. It's okay if we don't,
Right.
but that we may not have it yet, or we
Mhm.
may
Mhm.
we may not have the best handwriting yet, or I
Right.
can't
Yes.
read as well as I can do math yet. You know,
Mhm.
like that type of
Yeah,
Like,
don't like box
yourself in.
out.
I
Yeah.
can only do reading because that's what I'm good
Right.
at, or I can
For
only do
sure.
math and I won't learn anything else. Just
Yes.
creating this yeah, we are wired differently and we do tend to steer in
Mhm.
different paths.
Yes.
But that, it's the power of growing, I think is what you said.
Mhm.
Just this I'm not there yet, but I can be.
I
I
Or
love that.
I'm gonna try to.
Yes.
I love
Working
that for
toward
the
it.
children. I don't love that for myself, but I love that for the children. That's great wisdom for children. Please don't ask me to learn anything else, guys. Let's just, I'm maxed out, Brittany. I'm maxed out. But yay for kids and other people who want to keep learning.
I mean, my whole motto is lifelong learning, Amber. I can't tell you
Yeah,
that.
both of you are that. Both of you say stuff like that to me all the time. I'm like, okay, can I be your friend in all of the ways except that one? Is that okay? Can we work that out? Oh yeah. So that's like a lot of heavy stuff. So I thought I would wrap up that section with something a little more lighthearted. As I mentioned, my mama was a teacher and for many, many, many years. And back in the day, the gift to give the teachers was all things Apple. So our living room and parts of our dining room and our kitchen were all Apple-y things. So Apple cutesy knicky-knacky things and dishes and Apple scented stuff, which is why. So when I married Brian, he loves apple cinnamon smells.
And you're like, no.
And I'm like, oh no. I'm like, no, I can't bring on the eucalyptus or something. Like, what is that? I'm having flashbacks to laminating machines and sorting books by reading level. Like, no more apples. Anyway, sidebar. So that was but that was the thing, and that would be for Teacher Appreciation Week or whatever. That would be the thing. So this is more of a lighthearted question because I know a lot of the people who watch Amber Black Chats and who I know the kind of mamas they are. They're all about some teacher appreciation.
I love that.
So yes, good job for you
sweet.
guys to love your teachers well. But let's talk about hey, we like this for teacher appreciation, and hey, maybe not so much on the apples. I mean, that would have been me back in the day. So are there some things that you really this is a cool thing that I can use, or this is something I never use, I always end up regifting it or giving it to my children? I mean, back before I drank coffee, if somebody gave me a Starbucks gift card, I'd say, oh, thank you so much. It's so wonderful. And then I would give it to someone who would drink coffee. But now I drink coffee, so it's fine. But there was a season where that was the reality.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, neither of us drink coffee.
We don't. No.
They don't drink coffee. Do not give them coffee-related gifts.
I think we're kind of most teachers I think do drink coffee, but we don't. It's kind of
if you want to
weird.
give these guys
We're
anything,
wonderfully weird.
We're wonderfully
that.
weird.
Yeah,
yes,
wonderfully
don't
weird.
give these wonderful weirdos coffee stuff. These two.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
That's funny. I don't know. I'm very grateful for anything handwritten notes,
Mhm.
just
That's
little,
my favorite.
just a little picture the kids have drawn, chocolate. You can
There it
just
is.
never get enough chocolate to get you through the day. I'm just saying, for me at least. I don't know. I also think just one little side is just maybe at the beginning of the year, just giving your teacher a little questionnaire,
I was going
what's
to
your
say,
favorite
we used to
gum?
do
What's your
that.
favorite candy?
Mhm.
What's your favorite, teeny
Favorite
tiny
color,
little
like
things.
little Dollar Tree
yeah,
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it goes a really, really long way. So I like the Apple things. I know there are some teachers that are like, do not give me anything with it says teacher. But I'm like, that's who I am. That's part of my identity, So I don't mind it and stuff like that. I'm thankful for it. I put it up in my room. I have
I just asked Mama, do you
filing
still have your
cabinet
Apple
and-
stuff? If you
Yeah.
do, Shanna's all about it. You're
Give
gonna
me your
get
Apple stuff,
you're
darling.
gonna
I'll
get
take it.
crates
All
and
the
crates
Apple
of
stuff.
Apple stuff. How about you, Brent?
That's really funny. Well, because I've switched in a new role,
Mhm.
not only because I've switched in a new role, but because I'm kind of trying to come more relevant to where I am right now. I also prefer handwritten notes from kids and parents alike.
Mhm.
I save them. I have every card in my desk that parents have wrote me, and I go back and look at it. And
Yes.
when times are
Yes.
why am I doing this?
That's
so
I go back and
wise.
look at it, or I've
Pull it
kept
out.
emails
That is so wise.
that was hey, this this activity was so cool for my kid, thank you, or whatever. So
Mhm.
I'll remember to keep doing it, or, just different things like that. But also that, yes, I totally support teacher appreciation and all the things, but one, I never expect parents to go broke for
Absolutely,
teacher
yes.
appreciation.
Yeah.
So, like a handwritten note or something like that, but also that it takes more than just a teacher to educate your kid.
Mhm.
And so, like, if you do want to spend money, getting like group things,
Yeah, I
or
like
like, like donuts for the whole staff, or
Mhm.
like a massage chair where teachers and staff members can go in and get like a
I
15-minute
like that one.
massage, or like
The
something
New Life staff would also appreciate that.
like something more group wise, because it takes
Yeah.
it does take
Oh,
more
everybody,
than just
yes.
it takes the bus drivers, it takes
That's
the
right.
custodians, it takes
Yes.
the lunch people,
Yes,
it takes
yes.
the people in the office, it takes
assistants,
the
yeah.
assistants, it just takes
Yeah.
everybody to really educate your kid well.
Mhm.
And yes, teachers are doing a huge chunk
Mhm.
of raising your kid and helping them learn and lots of things. I personally like for everyone
Staff
to
appreciation.
staff
Yes,
appreciation
yes, yes,
rather
yes.
than teacher appreciation. And I
Yeah.
know that can be expensive, right? Like last year I had one kid had 5 teachers
Right,
and
right.
one kid had 2 teachers.
Right.
So I was like, like how do I
Mhm.
do this well,
Mhm.
and so I just like having them draw a picture, writing
Yes, I like
cards,
that.
Yes,
or
yes, yes.
thinking about how you can get in with PTO, and like, hey,
There
I'll
it
donate
is.
$5 to
Yeah.
PTO so that the whole staff can have
Yes.
a chair massage or whatever.
Yes. Yeah, it's
To
super
do
helpful.
something like that
Yeah.
is more my
I like that.
thinking.
Yeah, I like that. I was going to say, if you are part of a church family, like at New Life, we have our community groups, and we have different teams and these different things in existence. Like if you have a heart for the school where your kid is, I would say to let people know at your church and find out what other, a lot of people are out of the season of having children in school, but they still love to love
Yeah.
on
Yes.
school. So we have a little school near the church that we love on, and the team of ladies are made up of like their kids are raised, or a couple of them are former educators.
Yeah.
And so they have a plan in place for next school year for loving on the
Great.
staff once a month. And so I would say like partner with friends or
Yes.
your small group, or ask your, whoever is in charge at your church of like the missional thing, like how can I get involved in, I can't afford maybe to feed a whole staff at my kid's school, but I would love to partner with people. And how could we do that as a church body?
Yes.
And as believers, how can we love where our kids are?
Yes.
I think that's really powerful. I am an overachieving person with all the things. I do all the things. And so I love being part of the parent teacher stuff, because it's one, like from the parent perspective, like you're on the inside track, what's going on, the teachers like know you. And so then that's like, there's a little different kind of like community and camaraderie when you're on campus.
Yes.
And then it's like, I love going to where Titus goes to school. He loves that I volunteer at his school. But I love walking through the door there, and the ladies in the office are like, "Oh, it's you! What did you bring?" And it's like, it's always like this, like they're just happy. And
Yes.
even if I bring nothing, they're like, "Oh, that's okay. Let me give you a hug or whatever." It's just like a fun thing, and it does take a whole tribe to get our kiddos into the next phase. So if that sounds really daunting, handmade stuff's always a win.
Yes.
I love when kids make me art. It's like one of my favorite things ever. And I had a sad day last week because I've run out of space in my office to display the art. So I had to do what I used to do with my kids, which I think we talked about this one time, and we handled things a little bit differently as we parented. At the end of the year, because kids make all the things, they have so many things, and I'm not the mom that's like, oh, look at your amazing Van Gogh skills. Like, no, I don't even know what that is. And it was on the refrigerator for 6 weeks. That's enough. Let's move on with our life. Some people don't operate that way, and it's fine. It takes all of us. But I had, at the end of the school year, I would collect it all, and it'd go in a Rubbermaid tote, each kid. And at the end of the school year, I'd be like, all right, you get to pick 3. It was like pick 3 or pick 5 or something like that. And then that went into like their memory box. I know, I've got issues.
I pick out the ones that I like.
Okay,
to
you
put in
pick-
the memory box. So.
Well, I
have every one that they've ever
Shannon has 20
Totes.
years of art projects from her kids. And I'm like, I think I framed 2 of
I
them.
think Jameson's going into 5th grade, and I have like that much.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
my heart.
but for whatever reason, my work ones I look at very different. I don't know why, but we took them all down, and so I want to tell my kids' church kiddos, like, new year, new art, so they can have new stuff to put up. But I have it all stacked up, and I went and got a tote to put them in because I remember so and so brought me this one. I have one little lady who brings me something. I mean, at least once a month, and they're always so creative and different. And I'm, Brennan, like it just shows up. Sometimes it just shows up on my desk. I'm like, and so I have a different perspective for other people's children's art, but my poor kids, it's like, I think there's one from each of them somewhere in our house. I know. I'm sorry. Just learn from my mistakes, people. This is what I'm here for. All right, we're going to switch gears. And so if you are on the live stream and you have to stop or take a break, have no fear. Do not worry. At the end of the live stream, I'm going to, not tonight because I'll be too tired, but sometime this week I will edit this and we'll make it 2 podcasts that I'll share. And so if you were able to come in late or you had to hop off early, it is A-okay. You'll have the ability to listen to this again and all this wisdom and then all of the things to distract from the wisdom. So, so we're going to go to our next category where it's going to be educators talking to educators to get them ready for this school year. So I know in my life, I have so many friends who are in the education system or homeschool parents. And even if you don't have kids in public school or in a charter school or private school and you're homeschooling, do the thing that works best for your family. But you still, there's a lot of these things that we still, all of us, it's like universal issues that we have to deal with as our kids are learning and everything. So, but some of these are really fun. And I'm excited to ask you these because I'm like, I really wish I had known you little. Like, I think that would have been like, were you always like, oh, bless them and huggy? Like, were you that person when you were a little kid?
Depends on who you ask.
Listen. Yeah. So when Brian and I
High
started
school.
dating, he was like, the first time we were together with Shannon, we got in the car and he was driving me back home. We'd been like in a small group together or something, like a leadership group. And Brian and I were anyway, whatever. And he's like, I cannot believe that you know that Shanna. And I was like, I said, that Shanna's like one of my best friends. And he's like, well, let me tell you, I worked with her at Bilo and went to school with her. And I'm like, you tell me everything because I would have this running.
Oh, okay.
But he said you were on it, like at work, you were like, because you were in a leadership role. And so like you were on it with that.
Brian to the front, please.
Yes. So and he was a bad boy. So there was like, the train was a little bit different, right? And so that was, I was like, tell me all the things because the running joke would be like when we would serve together at church, it's like, I would bring down the hammer and then Shannon would wrap them up and love on them. And I'd be like, no, you can't jump off of that table. For the love of Pete, get down. And this is not safe. And now let's talk about Jesus. And, oh, baby, did you have a hard day? You just need to jump off the table to feel better. Like, so I said, like Shannon was always just so loving and sweet. And I'm like the dictator. And she was like the fun one. So when Brian was like, she was tough at Bilo. And I'm like, you tell me everything. So sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I had known you when you were little or when you were like figuring things out because we would have had a big time, y'all. It would have been.
You wouldn't have liked me.
I'd say that about Brian too. He wouldn't have liked me.
I mean,
you don't think I would have liked you?
Well, I was really good to everyone but my mom.
Okay, so I would have been safe.
You'd have been safe. Yeah.
Oh, your poor mama.
My poor mama.
Your poor saintly mama.
My poor mama.
Your mom is pretty
I don't know.
sweet.
Buffy will say like my toddler years I was feisty, but after that, I was good to
You
go.
know it out.
Mhm.
How about you? Do you remember being like in school when you were little? Like, were you the kid that? Did you ever get in trouble in school?
I was too scared. Like
It
I was
was-
one of those kids that, you know, like the teacher could just be like talking to somebody else and I'd be like, okay, you know, and not
It's like
even
guilty by
involved. I'm
association.
just like, oh,
That wasn't
sorry.
me.
Yeah, I was always too scared because of the consequence at home. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yes.
Just like I knew that, like if I
It was
did
double
whatever,
trouble.
it was
It was
I
happening
was
at home.
on when I got home. So yeah,
It didn't matter what
fear-based.
I said. That teacher said something.
Yeah, you have no truth.
Yeah.
It's 100% whatever the teacher said.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair. I was like a people pleaser. So
Yeah.
I would be like, and we had the I went, in elementary school, it was a church school, and so there's also a little bit of like biblical guilt that went with it. You messed up, it'd be like after I sit, write out a Bible verse. So it's like, the wages of sin is death, and you just sinned, something like, oh God, I couldn't die. No, like, oh my gosh. Or it'd be like, I remember this one teacher had a big beehive in her room. It was like, she had made like drawn it herself and everything. It was like Miss Burrell's Busy Bees or something cutesy like that.
Yeah.
And that might be why I don't like the cutesy stuff, maybe. But each kid had their own little hive around the hive, right? And so you were earning bees. So the more bees you had, like the better you were.
Yeah.
And if you made a mistake, it was a fly swatter, which I thought was pretty aggressive.
Like,
Like, why is it not enough to like just not get a bee?
Yeah.
But why do you have to get a bee or a fly swatter? Like that
Oh,
seems
that's
extreme, right?
Yeah.
And I had fear of the fly swatter so badly. And I remember in lunch, we had silent lunch always for like the first 10 or 15 minutes was always silent. And the girl beside me kept talking. And I'm like, she's going to bring me down. Like this is going to tarnish my perfect reputation and
I have 10 bees.
I have 10 bees and I need 12 before I can go home a winner, like closer to godliness with all those bees. And she kept talking and I turned to her and I said, you're going to get us in trouble. And the teacher heard me and I got a flippin' fly swatter and this was second grade and it like shook me to the core. And like I can still, it was a red fly swatter too. Like, why are we so aggressive, teachers? Calm down. Like that was, can it be like purple or something a little less like
happy fly
sinful? Like
Like a smiley face with fly swatter.
fly
Right.
swatter.
Gotcha.
I'll teach you to talk at a nil. What? Anywho,
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's funny the things we
That's-
remember.
I did
Yeah.
get in trouble for bringing nail polish to school.
Oh, you're such a rebel.
I know.
Okay.
I did.
Were you in elementary school?
Mm.
Were you like using it at school?
Probably.
On your nails or on a like public property?
Probably on somebody else's nails and my own.
There it is.
But I mean, they were nails. I didn't use
Nice.
it on the property.
Okay. This salon time, school time. Potato, potato.
Yeah, I'm learning something.
It's Brittany's world. That's what I want.
YOLO.
And there it all began.
There it all began.
Started in elementary school. How about in
And talking.
Did you get in trouble for talking? Really?
Isn't that surprising?
That's shocking to me.
I talked a lot.
Oh, we would not have been friends because you would have got me in trouble, and I would not have. That would
You
not
would
have
have
gone
had
okay.
many red fly swats.
I would just had to like drop out of elementary school. I wouldn't have been able to hang.
No, for real. Like how Jameson loves to talk to people is
Yes.
how I used to love to talk to people. The lady at the bank used to tell my mom, honey, you sure live an honest life because if you didn't, she'd tell on you.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. I
That is awesome.
love that so much. All right, how about like middle school? How did you behave? How was middle school for you, Shanna? Because that's a little bit different.
It
you know?
is. Yeah, I remember getting in like trouble the first time in middle school
Okay.
in chorus because
What?
it was the end of the day. It was like one of those weird, like, you know how sometimes they change the schedule around. So like
Yes.
it was like at the end of the day, and so we were getting ready to dismiss. And so I just took out a piece of gum, put it in my mouth,
In
And you
chorus class?
right? And that's like,
Shanna.
no, you don't do that. And I just remember her going. And I was like,
Mm,
and then I realized what I did. And so she wrote me the detention slip and everything. And I don't think I cried at that point,
yeah.
but I really wanted to
Yeah.
because it was like I would never have done that had our, when the schedule was the same. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know, had it before lunch or,
Right.
whenever it was early in the day. But I was like,
You were in
it was,
chorus,
I didn't, and
Were
it was
you-
just terrible.
Were
I
you more
was.
upset about that you had made a mistake, or were you more upset because you were embarrassed that the teacher caught you and it was like that like public come here, little girl?
Yeah, I think it was both. I think it was a little bit of both. Yeah. It's
Okay.
like, me? Why would
I
you get
I never get in trouble. I have a perfect record. Amber wishes she had my record.
No. And I just remember like
I
going
love
to
that.
detention and
Oh,
all the bad
detention.
people were they not kidding? I'm totally kidding. I'm kidding. But
Girl,
I just remember thinking, I will never chew gum at school again, you know.
middle school detention's a different
Yeah.
world. That's
It's yeah.
that's criminal. It's scary. Jeez. Oh my gosh. All right, middle school for you,
Yes.
Brittany.
Depends on who you ask, but
Right.
my teachers and everyone else but my mom
Bless you.
would say I was lovely.
Okay. Did you get in
And
trouble?
I did not get in trouble.
Okay, you figured it out by middle school.
I figured it out by middle school. I was really into cheering and being on the sports teams and the band
Okay.
and stuff like that. I played the clarinet, and so I was really into that. And I had a really healthy like relationship with my teachers, and they
Mhm.
like supported me and cheered me on and believed in me. I was really into the social.
Okay.
I was really into the social part of middle school.
Okay. I love that. I love that. In middle school, so I went to church school for K-5 and then to Irwin Middle School in 6th grade, which had like, so in my 5th grade class, I believe there were 18 kids, and basically the same kids I'd been with forever and ever. And then Irwin Middle, which had like 6th grades,
Yeah.
right? And so one, you know, I knew a handful of people from church, but I didn't understand the class system that happens when you go to middle school and where they put you and
Yes.
all that tomfoolery.
Mhm.
And one of my friends, had been in Girl Scouts together, and her mom was a teacher. And I was really lucky because she was my 6th grade teacher. And I was really excited because she was beautiful and cool. And she was my math and science teacher. And I didn't like math and science. And she was like real patient with me and sweet with me and everything. But I got my sneakiness and my lying stuff started in middle school. Because I felt, because I'm a sinner and broken, but thank you, Jesus, for your grace. But so at the root level, I'm sinful. But at the, humanity end of it all, it was all these girls, I felt like they were so grown up compared to me. And I was still wearing like what I wore to Temple. So at what we wore at Temple, they were dresses and
Yeah.
long, and
Mhm.
everything was like color coordinated. And I'm getting to 6th grade, and these girls are wearing like makeup, and parts of them are changing, and they're showing what they got. And I'm like, what the French toast? And so my mama had a friend who did Mary Kay, and so she'd get all these like little samples.
Mhm.
So I took the samples to school, and oh gosh, I'm glad my kids are almost out of. Titus can't do this. Okay, we're fine. It's fine. This can't come back to haunt me right now. Is all I'm trying to think. Right. So I would wear my skirts because that's what I had. Like that's what we had, and I would roll them up, and I had taken safety pins out of my grandmama's sewing room, and I would pin my skirts up super short, and I would bring samples of makeup to school. I did this 2 days in a row, and that teacher, one, she called my mom, which bad juju. 2, in the lunchroom, all the kids sat down here, and the faculty sat like at a kind of a raised platform, and they all faced the students.
Mhm.
And so this teacher, who I adore and I have forgiven since then, made this big display. Like she made eye contact with me. She went to the principal and was looking at me and talking to him as if like she was talking to him about me. She wasn't, but I didn't know that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is how I go out. And later on, when I was in 8th grade, she told me the reason she had been kind of strict on me in that way was that she was so worried about me because I was trying so hard to be accepted by these other people. And she was telling me, like, you're different and that's okay. Like, be you. And she was telling me that. She's also the same teacher who I wasn't, I might get in trouble, but I wasn't allowed to go to dances in middle school in 6th grade and 7th grade. And she would let me come and work the concession stand. And then after I worked the concession stand, I'd get to go dancing.
Mhm.
And so she was all about, being sweet and everything, but she would talk to me. And I think that's what's cool is like you said that about you had a healthy relationship with your teachers and you had that communication piece. And it's like remembering that even when I get frustrated as a parent with teachers, like remembering the quality of love and attention. She didn't have to
Mhm.
care that I was
Right.
sneaking makeup or rolling
Yeah.
up my skirt or
Mhm.
you know, boy crazy. She didn't have to care, but she loved me and was invested in me and challenged me. And I was like, okay, that's that's such a beautiful heart for kids and people who
So
are
true.
typically in education. It's because you have this God-given desire and heart to just love kids well.
I was gonna say,
Yes.
in my 14 years, even the teachers that I was like, whoa, you
Mhm.
know, like they still had some
Mm-hmm.
like connection with kids that
Mm-hmm.
like all of them, I could say, always had a connection to the kids in some way.
Mhm.
Even if it was so different from how I would like. I had one lady tell me that she trained her class like she trained dogs, and like that just was like,
yeah, right.
you know, like kind of rattled me, but at the same time that's what she thought was best
Mhm.
and how to train them, you know.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
And you do give dogs love, you know.
Yeah.
And so like it just
Mm.
in 14 years, they're like most
Yes.
teachers
Yes.
really do
Yeah.
invest in your kid, you know,
Yes,
in
yes,
your kids,
I
even when
agree.
you might not feel it.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, to that end, do you have a favorite teacher from your time as a student? A favorite teacher. Tell me a little bit about your favorite teacher, Shanna.
Mine was my kindergarten teacher.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm not
Wow.
kidding. Her name was Miss Schroeder.
Oh.
And she used to have a black snake that she would like let live in her yard. Like at my house, we killed all snakes.
Yes,
you know,
'cause
because we
they're
lived on like
evil.
a farm. But she would talk to us about. She would just tell us stories, you know, and
Yeah.
make it very relatable.
Mhm.
And then my assistant was Miss Baker, and she had a daughter who I thought she was grown because, you know, it was a little kindergartner, but I think she was just in like sixth grade because that's when elementary schools went that high.
Yeah.
But she would come in the room and just like, oh,
Aw.
they're so cute. And, you know, just really looked up to her. So,
Aw.
yeah, I think those were my favorite. They like really made school fun and, you know, kindergarten, not very different from what I teach
Yes,
or what I
I'm
attended.
sure.
It's completely different.
I'm sure.
But just made it really just a place I wanted to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like
That's
that.
really cool.
Yeah.
I love that. That's interesting that
Mm.
you were a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah.
And also do those same things.
Interesting.
Like try and make
Yeah.
people happy and feel
Yeah.
good and you know.
Safe and relatable, and
Yeah.
I love that.
Mhm.
How about you?
Well,
well,
I have to say, I had a lot of amazing teachers throughout my career that I felt like really prepared me in that way. I feel like my teachers at Emma Elementary
Okay.
really shined in my heart and in my mind when I think back, it was my first, second, and third grade teachers.
Mhm.
Miss Young, who's still there today.
Amazing.
She's still teaching today.
Goodness.
She's
Amazing.
taught
Bless
for
her
like
heart.
40 years.
Oh, take a
Wow.
break. Oh no, sorry.
She just had a way of.
Mm.
My second grade teacher was Miss Haney, and she's a principal in Buncombe County Schools today.
Okay.
And I still get to talk to her some,
Oh, that's really
which
cool.
is cool.
That is cool.
And then my third grade teacher, Miss Epps, was probably like if I think about my favorite, she
Mhm.
was probably my favorite.
Okay. Oh, I love that.
I just liked how she ran her classroom, how she made me feel.
Mm.
I felt like I grew a lot and felt
Yeah.
smart in her class, even though I wasn't the top of the class.
Yeah. That's a big deal. That's a really big deal.
And I just really love that. And like I said, I loved all my teachers throughout. So
Mhm.
there's not one that I was like, oh, I did not like them, or oh, I didn't.
Oh, that's nice.
I feel like I liked them all.
Mhm.
And then in high school, Beth Rogers was probably, I wanted to be a nurse.
She's so sweet.
She taught
Amazing.
me in such a way that I got the
Mm.
content. And I just remember wanting to be a nurse or be something medical because of her. And
That's
even though I
awesome.
didn't, it wasn't because of her. It was because of the advisor. No.
Details, details.
God just wanted me doing something else. But yeah, I really loved her as a teacher.
I love that. I love that. Mine were all my English teachers, not all, most of my English teachers, starting with Miss Hutt in middle school. I loved her, and I got in trouble in her room one time for reading ahead because I was that kid. So if we were doing like the group reading out of the giant textbook, and in sixth grade, I'm reading all the stuff I've never seen before, and it wasn't like Bible lessons. It was like literature, right? And I'm like, oh! So I'm just like, I can't read enough, and I'm just loving every minute of it. And she would do that thing where she'd call on the kids to read, and if you weren't where she was, you had to stand up the rest of class. That probably happened to me. That's probably the discipline I received the most. But she was also very kind to me and be like, okay, I know you're really excited, and I know that you're really enjoying this, but I just need you to stay with the class because I have questions and we're going to have assignments and I don't want you to miss, and I'm like, okay, but she was really gentle, but also old school with the standing, like, for the love. And then I loved Carol Wise at Irwin, had Miss Wise. I loved her. Mr. Voiles, loved him, still correspond with him a little bit. He's an author now, and so just some cool things. And so I get his newsletter, and I don't know, I just still like to follow what he's doing in his life. And then Mr. Fullington, Marty Fullington, was my favorite, and he passed away a few years ago. And recently I was getting out my I have like a little memory box that I've allowed myself from those days, and I can't remember, I think Titus asked me to see something or whatever, but I pulled it out. And I found in there was a letter that he had written to an admissions letter. Like, he was my reference for when you go to college. And I don't know how I missed it. I don't know. But it was like a letter that he had written to like UNCA or somewhere. And I opened it and read what he said about me as like a 17-year-old young lady. And it broke my heart in the best way of like, because you're so insecure and you're trying so hard to be so many different things in those ages. And you don't know which adults are for you and which adults are not for you. And, oftentimes you feel like you're so out of control of your life. And like, I would always doodle on my papers, and I would draw like the same thing over and over. It was like a cloud with a sun and a bunny and he started off his letter with, there is a young lady who sits in my class front row who gives me a happy place once a day. And he had saved the little doodles I had made. He had saved them. And then he talked about me in a way that is how I felt about myself, but I didn't know if I didn't feel like anybody else saw that about me. And like that I was these things that I didn't think anyone saw. And it just held such a weight. Like, even now I think back and remember so many lessons and the things I read in there, and just that he was engaging, and he taught, different levels and different kinds of kids, but it didn't matter. Like, when you came in that room, like, you were part of a team, and he was for everyone performing well. And I just really was just impressed by the way he did that in like a fun way, and in a he was really creative and a little bit weird, which I loved.
Awesome.
So
He was wonderfully weird.
he was so wonderfully weird. I loved him so much. Flip side, a teacher that I wouldn't say like your worst teacher because you have grace and all that, but maybe a teacher that you're like, yeah, I'd be okay never running into them again. You don't have to give names, just experience. In case they're watching, like somehow they would know about this. I'll kick it off because I have no problem. All of my English teachers I loved except one. And my senior year English teacher, I could not stand. I had all this medical stuff my senior year, and like she used that to like make fun of me in front of the class. So one of the things was like my voice would just like go out, and I'd be talking, and it would just go out, and I couldn't speak. It was so frustrating. And like she would make fun of me. She would mimic me, like mime whatever I was doing.
That makes me
it was so mad.
It was so terrible that there was a kid in our class who he was always in trouble. He was always in trouble, and he was like one of the ones that when you talk about like detention, like that's where he basically lived, was an ISS, but he sometimes was in class and was really smart and great and everything, but he YOLO'd all the time. All right. And he stood up for me one time to the teacher. And I just remember thinking like, whoa, okay, so it's not me. Like this is not okay what she's doing, but
Right.
she's a teacher, and you're 17, so
Yeah.
you've got to be mature, and it's just
And there you
weird, or
were taught
18
to
or whatever.
respect.
Taught to
Yes.
respect her, yeah. And you definitely, there was not a reason to like.
Yes.
There wasn't. I didn't have anything like that I could take to anybody to say she's doing this thing wrong, but it was just like she just didn't make me feel good,
Yeah.
So that was mine.
That makes me mad.
My first grade teacher, I thought she was like I just remember going home and like telling my mom like she's mean and she doesn't like me and da, 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 all these things. And first grade back then was very heavily like that's really when you learn how to read and like got a
the
lot of
reading
those
and writing,
basic
yeah,
skills that like are things that I teach in kindergarten now. Like back then I learned them in first grade.
yes,
And so it was tough. Like it was a hard year. And I just remember going to, this is old school, where you go to pick up your report card. Your mama takes you to school, to pick up your report card. And I just remember her being like, oh, Shanna, I just love her. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, are you talking about me? Just feeling like, really?
yeah, like this is a show.
Yeah. And so I'm like, I don't know. I just had such mixed feelings because when we left, my mom was like, well, she really, thought a lot of you and everything. And I'm like, did she? Or, like, was she being sincere?
Yeah. You're
Or
like,
not,
What's
yeah.
Monday going to look like?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would, yeah. Or
All
anytime I
right.
think I just didn't, like teachers that I think back and I'm like, well, they weren't my favorite, but they weren't the worst ever.
Yeah.
But I think it's just when I thought that I was not being heard or like not being treated fairly.
Mm.
Do you know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah, that makes sense.
It just kind of in general, that's sort of what kind of sticks out in my mind.
Okay. That makes perfect
Yeah.
sense. I love that. Okay. That helps with what we're going to be talking about. How about you?
I don't really have a teacher that I'm like, oh, I don't ever want to see again or go back to that again.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like, I switched schools a lot.
Yeah.
So that might have something to do with it. Just, I was like,
Yeah.
just trying to get used to it. But
Yeah, that's true.
I really felt like the teachers that I had gave their best with what they had, and they believed in me. Like I had one teacher in 7th grade who put me in honors classes, even though I wasn't really an honors like IQ level. Like believed me and pushed me.
Yeah.
And
So you
that
could get
that
you
was
could
my
do the
my-
work.
yeah. And I did do the work.
It's powerful.
And so like I just felt like I had that throughout,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's
So I don't
wonderful.
really
What a
have-
wonderful testament.
I don't really have. So yay, Buncombe County Schools, you're doing a good job.
Hey, I like that.
I went to a lot of them. So between 2 districts. So yeah. Irwin and TC, good job.
There you go. I like that.
Half Reynolds.
So there you go. She's been around the world.
She's been all over the place.
So as you think about the impact that these educators had on you, positive, negative, however weird, indifferent, some, I think about sometimes like some teachers, I'm like, there wasn't anything noteworthy either. Like there's
Yeah.
some teachers, there was like, just wasn't anything like outstanding, which that's good grief. You have so many kids every day. Like that's okay. But as you think about your legacy, as you guys are, Shanna, you're close. Like you could have all kinds of options if you so chose in the next couple of years. And Brittany, you're working so hard. How do you want to be remembered as an educator? Like when I'm interviewing your students in a couple of weeks, no, I'm just kidding. when your students are doing their things, what is something you hope that they remember about you?
I think for me, just that that I loved them. That because I feel like love just it just goes in all for their social emotional, for their academic.
Yes.
Like I always say, like I can teach them all day long. Like that's but if they feel safe and they feel wanted and they feel acknowledged and they feel heard in my classroom, then like all the other things are going to come. But just like I just want them to remember me and be like, you know what, like she loved me.
Yes.
She took care of me when I was in her care, when I was in her kindergarten class, or when I and I just wanted to be like joyful and to be a positive experience, because I do believe that kindergarten can make or break your your old school career and your
Yes.
attitude and your family's attitude towards school and
Absolutely.
all the things. So I think just that and just in a word, just like that, I loved them.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love that. How about you, Britt?
Yeah, kind of the same, but I always say like it doesn't matter what I teach them; it's how I made them feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like you said, like I want them to feel loved and safe and cherished to a certain degree, like
Yeah.
that you're a human being and that
Mm.
you're cared for and like I'm here for you, kind of.
Mhm.
And I also want to be fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like I want learning to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you're learning. Like
I like that.
I want it to be such a positive, fun experience that
Mhm.
that they are lifelong learners.
Yes.
I love that.
And it's not that I want to do a dog and pony show every day because but I do want to, like I think there can be ways to teach things that are
I love
more
that.
fun than
And
just
memorable. That
Yeah,
they
right.
remember
Has an
it.
impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. That encourages them to think outside of the box in their endeavors. I think that's really has a lot of strength. All right, so we talked about this from the parent perspective. So now speak to teachers about dealing with challenging parents, dealing with challenging kids, dealing with challenging coworkers, like conflict and all that when you're in the professional realm. What are some encouragement or do this, don't do this. Here are some tidbits that have worked for me, or here's what I would not recommend.
Well, the same thing applies, like always going directly to that person and trying to work it out. For different for the parents or for
Sorry, dog's just broken.
Hi.
No, they really love he really loves Shanna and
They do.
really loves Brittany.
Hi.
So this is why recording over live stream is why we do that sometimes. But Shanna just really needed. She was sending out that dog mojo apparently.
Come on in.
All right, sorry. Keep going, baby. The teacher's the first contact.
Sorry.
The person that you're
Yeah.
struggling with.
So
Yeah,
like I would try to go talk to that person, and also believing the best intentions of
that can be
each
hard to do.
others, like where we're coming from and what we're doing. And then just like finding the humor and like finding the humor is really important to do the job. I think like that, yes, your job is serious but at the end of the day, like we're like, it's going to be what it is. And like finding humor to like, and people that are like genuine and good people to be around to like love and support you along the way.
I like that.
I think look for the joy. Like there's not it's personalities are going to be different.
Yeah.
We're not all made the same. We don't all think the same way. But just in the middle of the chaos, sometimes I like to call my room organized chaos. Like I know what we're supposed to be doing. I know what I know what's going on. But just finding joy in those moments, along with the humor. Like it was just a joy today that I got to come to school and be a part of these little guys' life, and and I think just that
keeping the main thing.
Yes, and that main that contact, like the teacher, that first contact, like if you have conflict, and I think spiritually, like keeping myself where I'm in touch with the Father, just radiates with all the relationships in my life, and I think that is just so key. Where I want to stay. I'm not saying I'm always there.
Right.
I'm not far from perfect, but just really just keeping God first, and it just affects all the things, all the relationships.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's another really good one, is making sure your priorities stay in line. Like you may not be a wife or a mom yet or whatever or ever, but that like you're still you before you're a teacher, and still like go and do your best while you're there, but like burning both ends of the candle won't make you a better teacher.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it just makes you more tired.
Right. I think for me, when I worked for a school, was like, because there were so many people, just really wanted everybody to like me, and having to learn it was okay that I wasn't going to mesh with everybody,
Mm.
and that then being okay with that, we could still like have that team mentality
Mhm.
for the good of our school, and like letting that be enough
Yeah.
was a hard thing for me to learn for a long
Mhm.
time. But then having like a trusted, good, like safe person on staff
Yes.
that like your work friend or real
Mhm.
friend, but like that's your work person that
Mhm.
can empathize with you. But my word of caution would just be like, that's not going to help you go down and wallow in a
Yes.
bad day,
There's a
in pity, like
yes.
being like, okay, blow off the
Or
steam,
loud
let's get it.
gossip.
Yeah,
Yes.
blow off the steam, do the thing.
Then it, yeah.
We're done.
Yes.
All right. So what are we going to do? What are our action
Mhm.
steps? What are we going to do to turn this into a good day or a positive experience, or what
Yes.
can we learn? Because I think that was something that I had a hard time with, because if I felt like people didn't like me, then I would start like,
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
internalizing a lot of things and
Yes.
not having a safe place, and
Mhm.
that got tricky. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree.
yeah, like empathy is a real thing. Let's
Yes.
utilize it in the positive way. All right, I like that. What are some ways that teachers can celebrate everyday wins? Because the job is hard,
Mhm.
and the job, I've seen y'all's schedules. It is you have to be doing, like, y'all are doing something all day, every day.
Mhm.
It is nonstop. So sometimes it can be hard to like, woohoo, we survived this thing, or like,
Yes.
woohoo, this. I know, like, you do a wonderful 101 day celebration. Shanna's a huge 101 Dalmatian fan. And so instead of doing 100th day, she does 101, and it's so cute. We still have Cecily's like Christmas ornaments and stuff from when she had 101 day. I mean,
That's
it's so
awesome.
cool. I love it.
She kept that.
I know.
I did keep that. Well, it's a Christmas ornament. I have double standards. So
Just
stick a hook on it. Tell me it's a Christmas ornament. I mean, it's forever.
You would have collected and kept them all. I should have done that to
This
all
is-
her stuff.
This is not a part of the double standard in my head, and I have totes and totes of Christmas decorations. So it's don't try to figure me out; it'll break your brain.
I was totally just kidding.
But so I know that you celebrate. There's some.
Yeah.
You guys have some like things that y'all plan that are school celebrations.
yeah.
But what about like just day in, day out wins? How can you celebrate those
Yeah.
as an educator?
I like when we have like so again, kindergarten. So like if there's been a friend in our class who maybe has struggled to like learn the letters of their name, and so then like finally they've learned their names like this long, it's like Christopher or Stephanie or whatever, like
Yes, a
really
big
long
name,
name.
yeah.
And they finally learn it. And then I'm like, guys, guess what? Like Christopher just learned the letters of his name or something. And the kids are like, whoop whoop, or like, can I give him a whoop whoop? And everybody's like, whoop whoop, just finding again just that joy, just those little teeny
Yes, I
tiny
love
things. And
that.
it's almost like it's kind of like goal setting, for each kid. So like that was what I wanted you to get out of today. We're trying to
Yes.
master, we're going to try to write the letter, those kind of, they kind of go hand in hand, but just those little things. And then just having those celebrations, whether it's like group celebrations or it's just like, dude, like you've stayed in your seat for 5 minutes. Give me a high five. We do
Yes.
lots of like, just that positive,
I love that.
yeah. So I think just finding, because sometimes you gotta look a little deeper, some days than other days to find that joy and the humor and just the things that they say is just hilarious.
Yeah.
But I think if you're looking for them, then you're gonna be able to find them,
I love that.
pretty quick. So yeah,
Oh, I want to come hang out in your room.
come on,
Oh,
gotta
that
get
sounds
you to
cool.
work.
I love that. How about you, Rip?
Yeah, I think really trying to find them and like be intentional about being present with like what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because so much can be like you're like
Yeah.
in your head and like, oh, we're gonna do this, we gotta do this, but like really being like right there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the person that did this the best throughout my whole career was Jenny Robinette.
Oh yeah, goodness, yeah.
I feel like she could find the wins in her day no matter what. And so
I agree. Yeah.
I really because I was like, how on earth did you see anything good out of that?
Are you in the same
Out of
room?
that
as
train
me?
wreck, like, what just happened? Oh yeah, in there.
And that was the advice that she gave me, was to really be present, to really snuggle with that great reader while they're reading, or to really bend down and have a kid explain their math strategy, or just watch from afar on the playground for a moment, just to
Be
find the
there.
win. Yeah.
Oof, that's wise. I like that. That could be applied to all of the parts of our life.
Yes.
Whew, it's a little convicting.
Yes.
I like that. All right. So I think you guys have touched on this. You talked about finding the joy and finding the humor, but as we know, the world is hard. It is exhausting. So what are some tips that you could give to teachers who are feeling discouraged or overwhelmed or anxious, any of those big feelings that we try to help our kids feel and process? What are some words of encouragement for fellow teachers who might be feeling those things?
I think it's a lot of reflection. What is your why? Why did you come? You know what I mean? Why did you?
I was gonna say.
High five, Brittany, high five.
Every time tonight, yep, that's the name.
We're
This is-
I agree with this
yeah.
girl. This is good. This is good.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, just I'll let you say more. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's just that was it. I mean, really, just why did you go into teaching to begin with? And it could be just looking back at a little card. It could be just really remembering you're there for those little kids, or who whatever your age group is. But just why do I choose? I mean, I feel like it's a choice.
Yes.
You choose.
Yes. Yes.
You choose to do this career. And so just really thinking, if you're struggling with well, why do I do this? Well, there's lots of little teeny tiny reasons,
That's right.
why you do that.
Mhm.
I think just reflecting on that, well, why do I come to school every day? Yeah.
I like that. Reflection is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Or thinking back, not necessarily why I come to school now, but why did I want to come to school in the first place?
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Thinking way back to the beginning, what ignited you,
Yeah. And is that still in there?
Yeah.
Is that spark still, because I do feel like it can get jaded. I think even though I know that teaching is my calling, it's tough. I
Yeah.
mean, and I feel honestly, every year it just gets a little bit tougher, and there's just a few more obstacles, whatever it is that you have to kind of overcome, or you have to deal with, or you have to persevere with.
Yeah.
So just remembering why did I choose this career path? Why am I teaching? I think that's powerful. So powerful. Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what they learn. It's gonna matter how you made them feel.
Mm-hmm.
And my prayer to God so many years ago was to make a difference in the world. Well, me showing up to school and being that consistent person may be the only thing that kid needs.
Yes. That's right.
I mean, maybe doing some cool things. I want to be a teacher because of her one day, which would be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I know that this person that I see every day is not going to hurt me. Or I know every day this person will make sure that I'm fed.
Yes.
Or I
That's
know,
huge.
They will hear me. Yes.
that you're doing it for those kids. And and that at the end of it all, as long as you're doing your best, that's all that we can ask for. You can't, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to mess it all up sometimes.
Yes.
You're going to fumble through a lesson. It's not going to go well. Kids are going to be bouncing off the walls. It's going to be whatever.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, keep doing your best. And if you can go home and lay your head down at night and say, did my best.
Yes.
That's all you can do,
Yeah.
I love that. What about people who are considering becoming teachers? Because it's right now in the world, it is very polarized,
Yes.
As far as should I be a teacher or not? The public opinion that you hear and see so much about, it's not worth it. You're not going to get the pay. You're not here are all the negative things.
Mm-hmm.
And then Now, for me, it comes back to that call in your heart. That like if it's the call in the
Mhm.
heart, then all that stuff is secondary. But if you're brand new out of high school, or you're and you're starting the college career, or you're wrapping up college, and you're like, okay, well, I committed to this, and now it's go time, and the world is saying a lot of scary things, and there's a teacher shortage, and there's there's pay issues, and da 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 da. Like that's, I mean, how overwhelming to start a teaching career right now. So what are some words of encouragement or wisdom or hope that you could share with someone who is considering becoming a teacher, or is like on the precipice of starting their educator journey?
I mean, we need good teachers.
Yes.
We just do. We need people that love kids well in the classrooms. And like you may find that like those things can be true, like we don't get enough pay, or we're not respected enough, or what, all those negative things. But what would our society be like if we didn't have teachers? And we would have uneducated people. And what would that trickle down to? And so we need really good teachers out there. And also those things can change. Money can change at any time.
That's right.
I have to say we do have good benefits, like retirement and things like that. You have to make it to there, but it is good.
Yeah, you can earn
and why do you want to be a teacher? It's the calling.
Right.
Why do you want to be it?
Yes.
Like probably for the kids, you want to make a difference. You had a teacher that made an impact on you. Like those are reasons that you want to be a teacher. Same will one day be for somebody that you taught.
That's right.
So, or for, like your child's teachers, right? You want your child's teachers to love them well. And,
Yes.
Just
that's beautiful.
everybody's impacted by teachers in some way, and we need good ones. And it's a hard job, but it's a worth it job.
Yes. I would say don't be discouraged. Don't listen to all the noise, just do what is your calling. You're called to it for a reason. You probably have a love for children, for teaching, for for learning maybe yourself. And I would just say not get caught up in all that. It can change, it can change, and hopefully it will change sooner than later. We have to have that. I mean, our hope is not in all that anyway. Our hope is in God. But I would just say to if it's what you truly feel like you're supposed to do, I would just say don't let anybody or anything stop you, because you are needed. I mean, you are definitely needed.
And I don't think any teacher going into teaching really thinks it's for the money. Like you're not going in knowing that you're going to make billions and millions of dollars. I would love to see a shift where like we were paid like entertainment.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
world,
We do
but
entertain.
We do entertain.
Yeah.
I like to make it fun.
That's right.
I'll make it real fun.
That's right. Give me that NBA salary. That'd be really fun.
Right, yeah.
Give me those resources.
Amen. What an educated society we would have.
Oh,
But
yes.
I kind of, that distracted me and I forgot what I was going to say, but I just, I was saying people don't go into education for the money. Whether you're a believer or not, I believe that God's going to take care of you no matter, like, especially when you're believing that. I mean, he even says like, what about the birds? What, don't they eat?
Yep.
Don't they,
That's right.
So why worry about how you're going to be clothed or how you're, those types of things. You've got it. He's got it. That's what I mean. And he's going to take care of you.
Always provides.
While those things are necessary and needed, you're going to be taken care of.
I love that. Oh, that's so good. Well, the last thing I was going to do, I didn't tell you about because it just popped in my head. so you're not prepared, and so you're on the spot 100%. But I thought we could wrap up our time together just by praying.
Mhm.
So I thought, like, Shanna, if you would pray for our students as they get ready for another year. If you could pray, Brittany, if you could pray for our teachers as they start another year, and I'll wrap us up by praying for the parents as we start another year, and we'll end our time together talking to the Lord.
Cool.
All right.
Love it.
All right,
Love
Shanna.
it. Dear Lord, I thank you so much for this day. I just thank you for the opportunity to spend time with Brittany and Amber and just all the people that might have caught a glimpse of the things we're talking about tonight. I just thank you that we are a blessed people, Lord. We have so much to be grateful for and so much to be thankful for. And I thank you, Lord, that we do have an education system in our world, in our state, that Brittany and I live in every day. And I just pray for all those students. I pray, Lord, for all the families that are going to be sending their kids to public school, for all the students who are going to be in private schools, charter schools, all the students that are going to be homeschooled, Lord. You know all of them. And God, I just pray, Lord, for God, just all of the kids, from the smallest ones to the oldest ones, Lord. I just beg you, Lord, to put a hedge of protection around our schools and around each student. And I just pray that you would put people in their life, Lord, that love them and can point them to you. And I just pray, Lord, that you would keep our teachers, Lord, safe, that you would give us hearts that love these students and just help our students to be respectful and to be kind to each other and to teachers that they come into contact with on a daily basis, Lord. Just pray, God, that you would give maybe there's families out there that are trying to figure out what they're supposed to do. Are they supposed to put their kids in, public school, homeschool? But God, I don't have the answers to that, Lord. I can just speak to what my story is. But Lord, you know, and I just pray that you would give them peace, Lord, and I pray that you would just give them direction. And please just put a hedge of protection around all the schools, whether they're in school buildings or whether they're in houses, God, wherever they're at. We just pray, Lord, for your protection over all the children, all the students, Lord.
God, just thank you so much for this the silly podcast and this just opportunity to talk about many different things. But thank you for all of our teachers out there, our prospective ones, our current ones, our retired ones, and just that we're a community and a village that need each other. And that, God, I just pray for all the current teachers that are getting ready to prepare their classrooms for a new school year. Give them rest and strength to endure the whole year. And God, just I pray over their classes, and you so uniquely put people where they're supposed to go, God, and that these teachers are serving these students for a purpose and on purpose and with a purpose. And God, this job is hard. And God, I just pray that these teachers have people to go to and encouragement pouring into them, and just know that they're doing big work, but that it's not without a purpose, and quiet the voices that say, like, their work is just babysitting, or their work is not paid enough. And it's not. But God, let them hear their real reason. Let them hear that those teachers are needed for those kids to learn and many things, not just academics, but many things, from life skills to academics to just even simple things of like organizational skills, or how we operate in the world, or how we talk to each other. God, and I just pray that these teachers feel your love, and that you've got them. no matter what throughout the year, and just that we're so thankful for the homeschool teachers that spend time with their kids all day long and then parent. We're so thankful for the public school teachers who work not knowing which kids they're going to get at any point and can take on any class of person and kiddo and any learning need, and just that these private school teachers can they take on like intense rigor of different things, God, and all of them, all the things, God, and just help them to be with their people and help them to align their priorities and keep you first, and and that they can regulate and be what they need for everyone else if they do that, God. And I just am so grateful that you put calling on people's hearts to be teachers and to be good ones and to really love and care for these kids. So I just ask that they love and care for them really well this year, keep them safe, and keep the teachers safe as they take on really hard roles in this crazy world. And God, I just, there's so much we can pray for, but thank you for teachers, and just cover them with love and encouragement and protection this year, God.
Yes. Father, we thank you so much for the opportunity to come before you with all the things going on in our heads and in our hearts, Lord. And I think right now about all the parents who are gearing up for another school year. I'm thinking about meal plans and schedules and after school activities and the financial strain of buying back to school stuff and all the things that go into getting ready for the school year. It can be really exciting, but also really daunting. So God, I ask just right now for the parents who are in that zone of the more of the anxious side of things, God, that you would give them peace, or that you would remind them that you already know what the school year holds and that you are holding them really close in your hand. God, I ask that you would give them the things that they need, the supplies that they need, the kids that have outgrown all their clothes and shoes, and just that can just be really, really overwhelming. So God, I just ask that you would provide in really special and sweet ways to the different families. God, I ask that you would be with parents as they prepare their children for a new year of learning, whether it's at home or in a school building. God, whether they are going somewhere new or in a place they've been over and over. God, I just ask that you would just be with the parents as they're getting their kids geared up for this, that they're able to start having conversations that project this time of school as a positive thing and an exciting thing and a year of growing and challenges and new adventures. God, I also ask that you would just give parents wisdom as things come up through the school year, whether it be with their kiddos or with people they care about or the teachers or administration, whatever, God, that you would just give the parents the ability to be quiet when they need to be quiet, but to be bold and courageous when they need to do that. God, it can be really hard to turn off being a mama bear or a papa bear when it involves your child. So God, I'm just asking that you would just bring a lot of wisdom to the parents as they prepare the school year. And God, I'm just asking that this be a year that is full of love and laughter and fun memories and lots of amazing opportunities for the kiddos and the parents alike. And for the teachers, Lord, we're just so grateful the way that you bring people together. I thank you so much for Shanna and for Brittany and their faithfulness ultimately to you, their commitment to love you well and to love you big. And by their obedience to you, God, I've seen just amazing things that you've used in their lives, how you've worked through them in just really special and spectacular ways. And God, I ask the same thing for them this school year, Lord. Bless them big for their heart for you and their heart for the kids that you put in their care, God. We love you so much. Thank you for this time. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
So thank you to the stunning Shanna and the beautiful Brittany for giving up their time to be here with me. My job is not in a school anymore, but my heart is always part of the school system. And big heart for educators and education. So I thank you guys for being adventurous, and I will invite you back for a different topic.
Yay.
It's all going to be about, tell me all the bad things you did when you were little, so I'll feel better about myself. It'll be spectacular. But truly, I'll have you back because it was really fun for me.
That's fun.
And I like to hear your stories, and that's the whole point of all the things that I do is not about anything that any of us do. It's about how God has shown up in our lives and does these really cool things, and getting to hear your
Yes.
different stories like just reminds me of like, man, you were made so intentionally and he made you so beautifully and so special to be exactly where you are in life. Like it's not shocking. It is his plan,
Yes,
and
cool.
seeing it like
He's
in your
amazing.
story is really
Yeah.
cool. So thank you for being willing to share and to be put on the spot. And I really appreciate you both.
Thank
for
you.
having
All
us.
right, everybody.
Yeah.
See ya later. Have a good night. Get some rest.
Bye.
Make good choices. All those things. Keep smiling.